My name is Jennifer. I'm 43 years old, and I'm hooked on Spanish soap operas, thanks to streaming services. I've been binge-watching one drama after another. Spanish soap operas are always dramatic, but something truly dramatic happened in my life too. Let me tell you about it. It happened almost 6 years ago. I was living with my husband, who was older than me. We never had children, but I thought our time together was good. One day, I got a call from my best friend, Monica, who had been with me since childhood and even attended our wedding. "Hey, it's been a while. I wanted to let you know I got divorced." "Oh, wow, that must have been tough. Let's go out for drinks." Later, when I got home, I was about to tell my husband the news, but he surprised me by saying, "I know Monica got divorced." "What? How did you know that? I didn't tell you." At that moment, my husband gave me a strange look, like something was off. "I heard you say it," he said, and left the room. "I don't remember saying anything," I replied, confused. I told him Monica was divorced, and we planned to go for drinks. My husband then said, "I'll come too. We can all comfort Monica together." "Wait, you want to join us?" "No." I was puzzled. I thought it would be a girls' night out, but he asked me to ask Monica, so I did. I thought she'd say it was better to go without him, but instead, she replied, "Sure, let's all have a drink together." I'd rather not have a drink with my husband, I thought, but agreed anyway. So, the three of us, my husband, Monica, and I, went out. It turned out to be a fun night. Monica mostly talked about her ex-husband's bad behavior, and we laughed along with her. It felt like she had all of our attention. Even though she had just gone through a divorce, she seemed to be enjoying herself the most. I was happy we all hung out together. Then, I needed to use the restroom. When I returned, I noticed something strange. Monica and my husband were looking at each other in a way that felt too intimate. They hadn't seen each other since our wedding. I couldn't understand how they had become so close so quickly, just after a few drinks. It felt like I was interrupting a date between two lovers. I sat back down, and things seemed normal again, but I couldn't shake the feeling something wasn't right. The night was almost over, so I paid the bill and we got ready to leave. Monica was very drunk, and then my husband said, "I'll take her home." I was taken aback. "You'll take her home?" I asked. "Shouldn't we both take her home? She lives alone and it's late. You can take a cab home by yourself." He replied, "If I take her in a cab, she'll get to her apartment." "No," I said, "I'm worried about her. She can't make it home by herself." I felt uneasy but couldn't quite explain why. He agreed. "Okay, I'll go home myself." I left them there and went home alone. Part of me didn't want to leave them together, but I also wanted to investigate their relationship. Once I got home, I went straight to my husband's study. It wasn't a bedroom, just his private space. Maybe it had answers. I didn't want to search through Monica's house. It felt too rude, but when I went through the study, I found a photo album that I didn't remember seeing before. Something told me not to look, but I couldn't stop myself. Flipping through it, I saw picture after picture of my husband and Monica, smiling and clearly close. The pictures looked like they were taken while we were married. It seemed they had been secretly meeting for over 10 years. Anger took over, and my dizziness from drinking made me feel sick. I ran to the bathroom, but before I could throw up, my husband came home. "Oh, you threw up? You drank that much?" my husband asked, rubbing my back. "Don't touch me," I snapped, pushing his hand away. "Hey, it's me." "Yeah, I know who you are. I'm fine. I just hate you," I said. I wanted to get so drunk that I wouldn't feel the pain anymore. "Go wait for me in the living room. We need to talk." "What?" I asked, taking a deep breath. "Why are you acting like this? Is it because I dropped her off?" He seemed to be pretending it was a joke. "Okay, I'll change my tone," he said. "Now, first question, what does this picture show?" He looked at the album I found in his room. I only showed him the cover, but his face turned pale. "Next?" I asked. "This is a simple yes or no. Is there any wife who could look at this picture and be okay with it?" He didn't answer, so I asked, "How do I feel right now? Tell me." He stayed quiet. "Why don't you say something instead of staying silent?" I said, getting angry. "It's like you're blaming me, and it's really annoying." "Okay, I cheated. I'm really stupid. I'm sorry," he finally said. I would have felt better if he'd just apologized with some emotion, but instead, he stayed quiet for a long time, and then he said, "She's the one for me. Monica and I both married the wrong people. After everything, we finally found each other. I think we're soulmates. We have a special connection." What? Are you a poet now? I said, completely shocked by his words. I know I made a mistake marrying you. We're not right for each other. Monica and I are meant to be together. It feels like fate. Okay, now you've completely lost it. You and I aren't connected spiritually. I hope you understand that. I didn't know what he was talking about, but I realized that he and I were totally incompatible. My best friend betrayed me, my husband betrayed me, and I honestly couldn't even cry anymore. I was willing to let him go to Monica because he was such a bad husband. I don't understand what you're saying, except that you're speaking nonsense. You and I aren't compatible either. You're crazy, and I don't get it. I knew it. If that's how you feel, then you'll agree to divorce me peacefully, right? I want to be with Monica, he said. Got it. So, you're not going to pay for alimony? I asked. Then I have one night. You know this isn't good, I said, not really responding to what he said. I don't think I'm in the right spiritual tuning. I can't hear you at all, but I could just a moment ago, he replied. I spoke in a cold, empty tone. What? My husband asked, confused. I gave him a ridiculous answer to his ridiculous request for divorce. What's wrong with you, Jen? He asked. I didn't answer. I just ignored him and walked into the shower room. He followed, shouting, What kind of person are you in the middle of an important conversation? I'll never be free unless you agree to divorce me. I kept ignoring him. I'll be free to do what I want, and you'll be free from today. You are nothing to me now. You're just like a useless object I'll throw away. Prepare for that, I said. The next day, my husband went to work in a bad mood. I didn't say good morning, serve him breakfast, or help him with his tie like I usually did. I had taken the day off after everything that happened. I woke up just in time for him to leave. Well, I'll be living alone from today. Maybe I'll tidy up my room, I said to him. When he came home that evening, I heard him call out, I'm home, but I didn't respond. I heard him start shouting about how all his shoes were missing. Hey, Jen, where are my shoes? And why are you eating without me? He shouted. I threw your shoes away. It's normal to eat alone when I live here alone. I've saved up some money, so I'm having expensive steak and champagne, I said, not looking at him, just watching TV and laughing while I ate. Jen, are you even listening to me? He asked. I poured myself another glass of champagne, ignoring him. You've got to be kidding me. We'll talk after I get out of the shower, okay? He said. I wondered if he'd go upstairs to get his pajamas. Then I heard a thumping noise from the stairs. Jen, why is there nothing in my room? Where are my pajamas? I live alone now, right? You're saying I don't even need clothes? I just figured that since I live alone, I don't need to do anything, I said, casually finishing my meal. I got up and walked into the bedroom without reacting to him. Where's my food? He asked, following me. Go buy your own food. I live alone, remember? I said, not looking back. I had already taken my shower, so I went straight to my bedroom. I even got rid of his toothbrush. I couldn't wait to see how he'd deal with it the next morning. When I woke up, my husband was sitting in the chair, looking like Rodin's statue, the thinker. He had been in such a hurry the night before that he hadn't even showered. His hair was messy, and his scalp was showing through his thin hair. He looked like a mess. When he saw I was awake, he knelt in front of me, trying to get my attention. He apologized. I honestly didn't expect him to go this far. It hurts when you scorn me, but I've done terrible things to you, without caring about your feelings. I'm sorry, he said. That's exactly right, I replied, but I didn't say anything else. I want us to start over. I couldn't believe he was saying that. I was shocked, but I gave him the most disgusted look I could manage. No, 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 I can't live with a spiritually cheating, messed up guy, I said. You don't like it? He asked, surprised by my reaction. You should know why by thinking about what you did. Please, say something. I'll do whatever you want, he said, pleading. Yes, here it comes, I thought. This was why I had kept quiet. Whenever we fought, he'd promise to do anything for me, usually buying me something like a purse, and that was the end of it. I knew he was using his usual tricks. Okay then, do as I say, I finally said. The words I had been waiting to say came out of my mouth. I smiled at him, but his face fell, full of despair. I enjoyed seeing that expression. No, 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 I don't mean that, he stammered, confused by my sudden change in behavior. I have no intention of accepting any other terms, I said, my voice steady. Do you really think you can just get away with the affair after all this time? I'm taking both of you to court. You'll both pay for what you've done. He looked into my eyes, sensing my resolve. Okay, he said quietly. Thanks, I replied with a cold smile. I'm going to seek compensation from both you and Monica, and I'll be telling her ex-husband everything. He'll probably go for alimony, and so will you. Good luck paying that. What do you mean? He asked, confused. Come on, get up and take your things, I said. Take your bag and leave. I forced my husband to grab his bag, dragging him to the door. Where are you taking me? Outside, I replied. I'm leaving this house. It's mine now. It's not nice to have strangers here. I don't like this. Can't you at least wait until after the divorce? He asked. No, I said firmly. That's not happening. Why not? What's going on with you, Jen? You suddenly started talking like this, and now you're so cold. Shut up and leave, I snapped. With all the anger and frustration I had built up over the years, I pushed him out of the house. It felt good to finally take control. Before the divorce papers were served, my husband, Monica, her ex-husband, and I had a meeting. Monica confessed that she had fallen in love with my husband at our wedding, and they started their affair right after. They kept it hidden, waiting for both of them to be divorced before being open about it. They had betrayed both families. Monica's ex-husband had been devastated when he found out about her affair. Honestly, I didn't feel bad hearing that. It just gave me more ammunition for the alimony case. After being kicked out, my husband moved in with Monica, but once they received the alimony papers from both me and her ex-husband, things took a turn. We can't remarry if we're both in debt, Monica told him. I'll find someone with better financial stability. She gave him a quick goodbye, and that was it. She kicked him out. Wasn't she your soulmate, the one you're spiritually connected to, and now you're losing her over money? I couldn't help but feel disgusted. Suck it up. This is what you get for betraying your wife, I said. 6 years have passed since then. My ex-husband retired and ended up spending most of his retirement money on alimony. He's still struggling, living a miserable life. Monica, on the other hand, is buried in debt. No man will want to marry her again, not the same person she is now. She's working in a tough environment, clearly struggling to make ends meet with the alimony payments. As for me, I've received a lot of money, but I don't do anything extravagant. I just work and live a simple life. In life, you never know what will happen, so I'm focused on doing what I want and living modestly. Like they say, if you're prepared for anything, you're prepared for everything. And, of course, I still enjoy watching Spanish soap operas every day. Recently, I found a colleague who shares the same interest. We've even talked about visiting Spain together someday. I'm looking forward to that. Of course, I'm not going to waste time checking anyone's spiritual soul vibrations. I'm just going to live a peaceful, healthy life. Today, my goal is simple: to be happier.
The last person I expected to see standing at my office door was my sister Valerie. Yet there she was, designer clothes replaced by a wrinkled blouse, perfect makeup traded for dark circles under her eyes. For a moment, I barely recognized her. "Sylvia, I need your help." Her voice cracked on the last word. I gripped my coffee mug tighter, frozen in place. 10 years of silence stretched between us like a chasm. 10 years since she'd run to our parents with her concerns about my lifestyle, painting me as the family disgrace. 10 years since I'd been cut off without a penny to my name. "How did you even find me?" I managed to ask, proud that my voice remained steady. Everyone knows about Horizon Tech's rising star CEO. A weak smile flickered across her face. "My little sister, making waves in the business world." I set my mug down carefully. "I have a meeting in 5 minutes. Whatever you're selling, I'm not interested. Please, just hear me out." She stepped forward and I noticed the slight tremor in her hands. "Parker left me. He took everything. The house, the cars, our savings. I have nowhere else to go." The irony wasn't lost on me. Perfect Valerie, Mom and Dad's golden child, now standing in my office looking like a lost puppy. The same sister who'd told our parents I was living in sin because I'd moved in with my boyfriend at 22. The same sister who'd nodded approvingly when Dad changed the locks and Mom said I was dead to them. "Monica, can you reschedule my 10 a.m.? I called out to my business partner, who was hovering anxiously by her desk. She nodded, shooting me a concerned look. I gestured to the chair across from my desk. You have 5 minutes. Valerie sank into it, her shoulders slumping. Parker was having affairs, multiple affairs. When I confronted him, She swallowed hard. He had everything in his name. The prenup. I was so stupid, Sylvia. I signed without reading it properly. Now I'm staying at a motel, living off my credit cards. And let me guess, you've already been to Mom and Dad? She nodded miserably. They said I made my bed by marrying Parker against their wishes, that I should pray for guidance. I couldn't help but laugh. Sounds familiar, except in my case, the only sin was wanting to live my own life. I was wrong, Valerie whispered. What I did to you, I was jealous. You were always so brave, so sure of yourself. I thought if I could prove to Mum and Dad that I was the good daughter... Stop. I held up my hand. I don't need your apologies now that you're desperate. They're 10 years too late. A tear rolled down her cheek. I know, but you're my only hope, Sylvia. I don't have anyone else. Looking at her now, I remembered the sister who used to braid my hair before school, who taught me how to ride a bike, who turned into a stranger the day she chose our parents' approval over our bond. My phone buzzed, a text from Monica. Whatever you're thinking, be careful. I studied Valerie's face, searching for any trace of manipulation, but all I saw was defeat. The mighty had fallen, and karma had done its work without any help from me. There's a spare room in my condo, I heard myself say. You can stay there temporarily while you figure things out. But we're not sisters anymore, Valerie. This is business. You'll work at my company to earn your keep, starting at entry level like everyone else. Her eyes widened. You'd do that? After everything? Don't mistake this for forgiveness. I stood up, smoothing my skirt. Consider it a front row seat to see everything you and our parents said I'd never achieve. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have an actual meeting to prepare for. She rose shakily, clutching her worn purse. Thank you, Sylvia. I won't let you down. You already did that once, I replied coldly. Monica will give you the spare key and address. Be out of that motel by tonight. As I watched her hurry out, Monica appeared in my doorway. You sure about this? I picked up my tablet, pulling up the quarterly reports. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's showing them exactly what they threw away. But as I tried to focus on the numbers, my hands wouldn't stop shaking. The lost little girl inside me, the one who'd cried herself to sleep after being disowned, was screaming that I was making a mistake. The businesswoman I'd become knew better. This wasn't about helping Valerie. This was about proving something to myself. And maybe, just maybe, about finally laying some ghosts to rest. I spent that evening watching Valerie unpack her meager belongings into my pristine guest room. Her entire life had been reduced to 2 suitcases, a far cry from the walk-in closets she used to brag about at Parker's mansion. The bathroom's through there, I said, leaning against the doorframe. I leave for work at 7 sharp. Be ready. She nodded, carefully hanging a wrinkled blouse. I still can't believe how beautiful your place is. The view of the city, amazing what you can achieve when you stop letting others dictate your life. I checked my phone, pretending not to notice her flinch. There's leftover Thai in the fridge if you're hungry. Sylvia, she turned to face me, wringing her hands. Can we talk? Really talk? I have work to review. Please, just tell me what happened after I told Mom and Dad about Jason. The name of my ex-boyfriend hit like a punch to the gut. You mean after you painted me as some kind of deviant for moving in with him? Let's see. I ticked off points on my fingers. I lost my family, my home, my college funding. Worked 3 jobs while finishing my degree. Lived on ramen and coffee until Monica and I got our first investor. What else would you like to know? I'm so sorry. Stop apologizing. The words exploded out of me. You don't get to ease your conscience now. Where were you when I needed my big sister? When I was sleeping on friends' couches? When I graduated and there wasn't a single family member in the audience? Valerie sank onto the bed, shoulders shaking. I was wrong. So wrong. I let Mom and Dad's expectations consume me until I couldn't see straight. Then I married Parker because he checked all their boxes. Successful, religious, from a good family. She laughed bitterly. Look how well that turned out. What exactly did Parker do? I found myself asking, curiosity winning over anger. He was sleeping with his secretary. Classic, right? But it gets better. She wiped her eyes. He was also sleeping with his partner's wife and embezzling company funds to maintain his lifestyle. When it all came out, he transferred everything to offshore accounts and disappeared. And you had no idea? I was the perfect obedient wife, never questioned the late nights or business trips, just like I was the perfect obedient daughter. She met my eyes. I envied you, your courage to live authentically. I thought following all the rules would keep me safe, loved. Instead, my phone buzzed, a text from Lucas, our head of product development. Need your input on the new interface design, free for coffee tomorrow. I ignored it, focusing on Valerie. Why didn't you fight the prenup? Parker's lawyers are better than anything I could afford. Besides, she pulled out a folder from her suitcase. Look at these clauses. He had it all planned from the start. I scanned the document, my business instincts kicking in. This is predatory as hell. Have you shown this to anyone else? Who would help me? I can't even afford a consultation. An idea sparked. Dangerous, possibly stupid, but potentially perfect. What if you could? What if you could not only fight back, but show Parker exactly what it feels like to lose everything? Valerie looked up, confusion clear on her face. What do you mean? Our company's legal team is one of the best in the city, and I happen to know Parker's firm is trying to land a contract with us. I smiled, the kind of smile that had made more than one competitor nervous. Tomorrow you start in our mailroom, but if you prove yourself trustworthy, maybe we can help each other with something bigger. You'd do that? Help me take him down? Don't mistake this for sisterly love, I warned. This is business. Parker's firm has resources we want. If exposing his fraud helps us acquire those resources while giving you justice, well, that's just efficient. For the first time, I saw a flash of the old Valerie, the sharp, determined sister I'd once admired. Tell me what you need me to do. First, prove you can handle basic responsibilities. Show up on time, do your job well, keep your drama to yourself. Then we'll talk strategy. I headed for the door, pausing in the doorway. And Valerie, if this is some kind of act, if you betray me again— I won't, she said quietly. I know you have no reason to believe me, but I won't. Later that night, as I lay in bed reviewing quarterly projections, I received another text from Lucas. Heard about your sister. You okay? I stared at the message, thinking about the day's events. Was I okay? I had my estranged sister sleeping down the hall, a risky business play forming in my mind, and years of buried emotions threatening to surface. I'm fine, I typed back. Just business as usual. But as I set my phone down, I wondered who I was really trying to convince. And this is where the magic happens, I announced, leading Valerie through our development floor. Her eyes widened at the sleek workstations, the wall-to-wall screens displaying code and designs. 3 years ago, this was all just sketches in my notebook. Now we're revolutionizing user interface design. It's incredible, she whispered, taking it all in. I had no idea technology could be so beautiful. Sylvia! Lucas jogged up to us, tablet in hand. Sorry to interrupt, but we've got an issue with the new security protocols. The client meeting's in 2 hours. I turned to Valerie. Monica will show you to the mailroom. Remember what we discussed, 7:30 sharp tomorrow. As she followed Monica away, Lucas raised an eyebrow. So that's the infamous sister. Let's focus on the security protocols, I said, taking the tablet. But before I could dive in, Monica came rushing back. We have a problem, she said, her face tense. Someone accessed our development servers last night. They copied files, including the new interface designs. My stomach dropped. What? How is that possible? The access came from inside the building, someone with credentials. Lucas swore under his breath. The timing couldn't be worse. The investors are expecting a preview of the unique features next week. I straightened my spine, mind racing. Lock down all sensitive files, start a trace on the data breach, and get me a list of everyone who had access to that server in the last 48 hours. Already on it, Monica said. But Sylvia, your sister's arrival and this breach. Don't, I cut her off. Valerie doesn't have access to anything important yet. Besides, she barely knows how to use a smartphone, let alone hack servers. People can surprise you, Lucas said gently, and not always in good ways. I was about to respond when my phone rang, an unknown number. Hello? Sylvia, it's Mom. The world tilted sideways. 10 years of silence, and now this. How did you get this number? Valerie told us where she was staying. Mum's voice was exactly as I remembered, soft but steely. What game are you playing with your sister? Game? She came to me for help, something you refused to give her. She needs to return to her husband and pray for guidance, not enable your lifestyle. I laughed, harsh and bitter. My lifestyle? You mean my successful company, my penthouse? The life I built after you threw me away? We did what was necessary. No, you did what was easy. And now you're doing it to Valerie too. Goodbye, Mum. I hung up, hands shaking. Lucas touched my arm gently. Hey, you okay? Fine, I snapped, then immediately regretted it. Sorry, it's just complicated. Family usually is. He smiled sympathetically. Come on, I'll buy you a coffee. We can work through these protocols together. At the cafe across the street, I watched him pull up the security specifications on his laptop. Lucas had been one of my first hires. Brilliant, kind, and refreshingly drama-free. Sometimes I caught him looking at me when he thought I wouldn't notice, but he never crossed professional boundaries. What if we restructured the authentication process? He suggested, pointing to a section of code. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed with a text from Monica. Server trace complete. You need to see this. Rain check on the coffee, I said, standing up. Keep working on those protocols. Back in my office, Monica closed the door behind us. The breach came from the executive floor. Someone used your credentials, Sylvia. That's impossible. I never share my login. There's more. She handed me a tablet. Look at the timing of the access. 2 a.m. last night. The building logs show your keycard was used to enter at that time. My blood ran cold. My keycard, the spare I'd given Valerie. I hate to say it, Monica began. Then don't. I cut her off, my mind whirling. We need proof before we make accusations. Set up discreet monitoring on all executive access points. And get me everything you can find on Parker's current business dealings. You think this goes beyond Valerie? I think nothing in my family is ever simple. I stared out my office window at the city below. And I think it's time to find out exactly what my sister is up to. Monica paused at the door. Just be careful, okay? You've worked too hard to let family drama destroy everything. But as I watched Valerie efficiently sorting mail through the office window, I wondered if I was being paranoid or not paranoid enough. Was she really here for help, or was this all an elaborate setup? And if so, who was really pulling the strings? The answer, I suspected, would cost me far more than just peace of mind. I stayed late that evening, watching through my office window as employees trickled out. Valerie had left at exactly 5, head down, clutching her purse. The perfect picture of a humbled sister, almost too perfect. The security footage from last night played on my laptop. There she was, entering at 2 a.m., heading straight for the executive floor. Not wandering or hesitant, but purposeful. Still here? Lucas appeared in my doorway, 2 cups of coffee in hand. Just reviewing some footage. I accepted the coffee gratefully. Did you finish the security patch? All done, but that's not why I'm here. He sat down across from me. I did some digging on Parker. I raised an eyebrow. I don't recall asking you to do that. No, but you had that look. He grinned. The one you get when you're plotting something. Anyway, you'll want to see this. He pulled out his tablet, showing me a series of news articles and financial records. Parker's company is in trouble. Major trouble. They're hemorrhaging clients, and there are whispers of an SEC investigation. Which is why they're so desperate to land our contract, I murmured, pieces clicking into place. Exactly. And guess who's been meeting with their board regularly for the past month? He swiped to another document. Your sister's divorce lawyer. My coffee cup froze halfway to my lips. What? The same lawyer who drafted that supposedly ironclad prenup. Lucas leaned forward. Sylvia, this doesn't feel right. A memory surfaced. Valerie at 16, orchestrating an elaborate scheme to get me grounded so she could go to a party Mum and Dad had forbidden. She'd always been smarter than people gave her credit for. I need to get home, I said, standing abruptly. Thanks for the coffee. And the intel. The drive home was a blur of possibilities, each worse than the last. When I entered my condo, Valerie was sitting at the kitchen island, typing on her phone. Productive first day? I asked casually, setting down my bag. Everyone's been so kind, she said, not looking up. Especially Lucas. He showed me how to use the coffee machine. Did he? I opened my laptop, pulling up the building's security feed. Funny how quickly you're learning your way around, almost like you've been there before. Her fingers stilled on the phone. What do you mean? Cut the act, Valerie. I saw the footage from last night. Want to tell me what you were doing in my office at 2 a.m.? She set her phone down slowly. I couldn't sleep. I was just exploring. With my key card, straight to the executive floor. I turned the laptop to show her the footage. Try again. You don't understand. Then make me understand. I slammed my hand on the counter. Are you working with Parker? Is this some elaborate scheme to steal our tech? No, she stood up, eyes flashing. I'm trying to save you. That stopped me cold. What? Parker's not just after your company's contract, he's planning a hostile takeover. She ran a hand through her hair. The prenup, the affairs, the embezzlement, it was all a setup. He needed me to come to you, to get inside. And you agreed to help him? At first, but then I saw what you've built, what you've become. Her voice cracked. I couldn't do it. I couldn't destroy my sister again. Why should I believe you? She pulled out a USB drive from her purse. Because I copied everything. Parker's real financials, the takeover plans, proof of his offshore accounts. I was going to give it to you tomorrow, but... I stared at the drive, my mind racing. If you're lying, I'm not. She stepped forward. Sylvia, I know I don't deserve your trust, but Parker is dangerous. When he realizes I've turned on him, he'll come after you, I finished. Both of us. I'll leave tonight, she said quietly. You can turn the evidence over to the SEC anonymously. I'll disappear somewhere he can't find me. I thought about the scared little girl who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms, the sister who'd betrayed me, the woman standing before me now, finally choosing me over everything else. No, I said firmly, we do this together, but this time we do it my way. What do you mean? I picked up my phone, dialing Monica's number. We're going to set a trap, and when Parker thinks he's won, we'll show him exactly what happens when he underestimates the Santiago sisters. For the first time in 10 years, Valerie and I shared a real smile. It felt like coming home, and like going to war. Mom and Dad won't approve, she said softly. When have they ever? I replied, already planning our next move. Time to write our own rules. The conference room felt too small for all the tension it contained. Monica sat to my right, Lucas to my left, while Valerie paced nervously by the window. On the screen before us, Parker's smug face filled the video call. I must say, Sylvia, I'm impressed, he said, adjusting his expensive tie. Your company's growth is remarkable. I can see why my firm is so interested in this partnership. Funny you should mention partnerships, I replied coolly. We've been reviewing your proposal, and I have some concerns about the terms. His smile didn't waver. Perhaps we could discuss this over dinner. I'm in town next week. Actually, I glanced at Valerie, who had stopped pacing. I think we should discuss it now, particularly the clause about board seat distribution after the merger. A flicker of something, surprise, concern, crossed his face. Those terms are fairly standard. Standard for a hostile takeover, you mean? I pulled up a document on the screen, splitting it with his video feed. These are your real financials, Parker, not the ones you showed our board. The color drained from his face. Did you really think Valerie was stupid enough to fall for your plan? I stood up, letting my anger show. That she'd help you destroy her sister's company to save herself? Valerie, he barked out a laugh, but I could see the calculation in his eyes. My dear, what lies has she been telling you? She's the one who came to me with the idea. Show her, darling. Valerie stepped forward. You mean these emails? She pulled up another document. The ones where you threatened to expose my involvement in your embezzlement schemes if I didn't help you. I kept everything, Parker. Every threat, every fake document, every recording. You recorded. He caught himself, mask slipping. This is ridiculous. I have the best lawyers in the city. Not anymore, Monica chimed in. They dropped you this morning. Something about potential RICO charges. Lucas slid a folder across the table. We sent copies of everything to the SEC. They're very interested in your creative accounting practices. Parker's composure cracked completely. You bitch, he snarled at Valerie. After everything I gave you. You gave me nothing but lies, Valerie shot back. You took everything from me, thinking I was too weak to fight back, but you forgot something important. And what's that? I'm a Santiago sister. She smiled, and I saw our mother's steel in her eyes. We don't break, we get even. The door opened and 2 FBI agents walked in. Mr. Parker, one said, we need you to stay on this call. We're currently executing a search warrant at your office. Parker's face contorted. This isn't over. Your company won't survive the scandal. Actually, I interrupted, our stock is up 15% in pre-market trading. Turns out investors love a company that helps take down corporate fraud. Now, I believe these agents have some questions for you. I ended the call feeling lighter than I had in years. Monica immediately pulled up our stock ticker, grinning at the numbers. Lucas squeezed my shoulder supportively. I'll start drafting the press release, Monica said, heading for the door. Lucas, can you? Already on it, he replied, following her out. But he paused, looking back at me. For what it's worth, that was badass. Once we were alone, Valerie collapsed into a chair. I can't believe we did it. We're not done yet, I reminded her. The FBI will want statements, there'll be a trial. Sylvia, she reached for my hand. Thank you for believing me, for helping me fight back. I let her hold my hand for a moment before pulling away. You took a huge risk copying those files. I had to choose, she said simply. Between the life I thought I wanted and the sister I knew I needed, I chose better this time. My phone buzzed, a text from Mom. We saw the news. Your father and I are very disappointed. They'll never change, will they? Valerie asked, reading the message over my shoulder. No, I replied, deleting the message without responding. But maybe we have. So what happens now? Before I could answer, Lucas poked his head back in. Sorry to interrupt, but you both need to see this. Someone leaked photos of Parker being escorted out of his office. Twitter's going crazy. I looked at Valerie and saw my own mixture of exhaustion and triumph reflected in her face. Now, I said, standing up, we face whatever comes next, together. Together, she echoed, following me out. As we walked through the office, employees stopped to stare and whisper. But for the first time since Valerie had shown up at my door, I felt completely certain about my choices. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't destroying your enemies. It's becoming strong enough to save the people who once hurt you, even if those people are family, especially if they're family. The knock on my office door came just after lunch. I looked up to see Monica's worried face. They're here. I didn't need to ask who. Through the glass walls, I could see them, Mom and Dad, looking exactly as they had 10 years ago. Mom in her perfectly pressed dress, Dad in his business suit, both wearing expressions of stern disappointment. "Want me to tell them you're in a meeting?" Monica offered. "No." I straightened my desk, a habit from childhood. "Send them in, and find Valerie." They entered like they owned the place, Mom first, Dad following her lead, just as he always had. "Quite an empire you've built," Mom said, looking around my office. Though I questioned the methods. "Hello to you too, Mom." I gestured to the chairs. "What brings you here?" "Your sister's accusations against Parker are all over the news," Dad said, remaining standing. "Do you have any idea what this is doing to our reputation in the community?" "Your reputation?" I couldn't help laughing. "Parker committed fraud, embezzled millions, and tried to steal my company. But you're worried about your reputation." "We raised you better than this," Mom snapped. "Airing family dirty laundry in public." "Parker isn't family," Valerie's voice cut in. She stood in the doorway, shoulders back, chin high. "And neither are you, not anymore." Mom recoiled like she'd been slapped. "How dare you? No, how dare you?" Valerie stepped into the office. "You threw Sylvia away for living her life. Then you turned your backs on me when I needed help. Some parents you are." "We gave you everything," Dad protested. "You gave us conditions," I corrected, "rules, expectations, but never acceptance, never real love." "Love?" Mom's voice cracked. "Everything we did was out of love. We wanted to protect you from..." "From what?" Valerie demanded. "From success? From independence?" "Look around, Mom. Sylvia built all this after you abandoned her. And me, I followed all your rules, married the man you approved of, and he nearly destroyed me." A commotion outside drew our attention. Through the glass, we could see Lucas arguing with someone, a man in an expensive suit who looked remarkably like Parker. "Security," Monica called out, but the man had already pushed past Lucas and burst into my office. "James," Mom breathed, "what are you doing here?" "Your son-in-law called me," Parker's lawyer said smugly. "You're making a terrible mistake, Sylvia. We can still settle this quietly." "Like you settled Parker's other problems?" I stood up slowly. "How many companies has he destroyed with your help, James?" "I'm here as a family friend." "No," Dad interrupted, surprising everyone. "You're here because Parker paid you, just like you paid off the investigators in the Thompson case last year." Mum turned to him, shocked. "Harold." "I've kept quiet too long," Dad continued. "Watched too many lives ruined because we were too proud to admit we might be wrong." He faced me directly. "Starting with yours, Sylvia." "Sir," James started, but Dad held up his hand. "Get out of my daughter's office. Both my daughter's office." James glanced between all of us, then backed away. "You'll be hearing from our legal team. Looking forward to it," I replied calmly. "I'm sure the FBI will be very interested in your involvement too." After he left, the silence was deafening. Mom had sunk into a chair, looking older than I'd ever seen her. "I should have spoken up sooner," Dad said quietly. "Should have stood up to your mother, to the community pressure, to all of it." "Harold, please," Mom whispered. "No, Rose, look at them. Really look." He gestured to Valerie and me. "Our daughters are stronger together than we ever were apart. Maybe it's time we learned from them." Mom's lips trembled. "I don't know how." "Start by listening," Valerie suggested, her voice gentler than before. "Really listening, without judgment. And maybe," I added, surprising myself, "we can have dinner. Not to fix everything, but to try understanding each other." "I'd like that," Dad said, and for the first time in years I saw tears in his eyes. Mom stood up shakily. "I need time to think." "Take it," I said. "We've all got healing to do." After they left, Valerie turned to me. "Did that really just happen?" "I think Dad just chose us over their perfect image," I mused. "Never saw that coming." Lucas appeared in the doorway. "Everything okay in here?" I looked at Valerie, saw my own mix of hope and caution reflected in her eyes. "No," I answered honestly, "but maybe, eventually, it will be." Sometimes the hardest walls to break down are the ones we build ourselves. but standing there with my sister, watching our parents walk away, not in anger this time, but in thought, I realized that maybe some walls need to fall, even if we're not quite ready for what's on the other side. The restaurant was quieter than I expected for a Friday night. Maybe that's why Mum chose it. Fewer witnesses in case things went wrong. Dad sat beside her, fidgeting with his napkin, while Valerie and I faced them across the table. "Your company's stock hit a new high today," Dad said, breaking the awkward silence. "I've been following the markets." "The Parker scandal actually helped us," I replied, sipping my wine. "Investors love a redemption story." "Speaking of Parker," Mom cut in, "the country club board is absolutely mortified. They've revoked his membership." Valerie snorted. "I'm sure that's devastating for him, considering he's facing federal charges." "Rose," Dad warned quietly as Mom bristled. "We're here to listen, remember?" The waiter arrived to take our orders, providing a welcome interruption. As he walked away, Lucas appeared at our table. "Sorry to interrupt," he said, tablet in hand. "Sylvia, we just got the final settlement offer from Parker's team." Mom straightened. "Perhaps we should discuss this in private." "No," I said firmly. "No more secrets. What's the offer, Lucas?" He handed me the tablet. "They'll drop all claims to company assets if we withdraw our evidence from the FBI investigation." "Absolutely not," Valerie and I said simultaneously. "Girls," Mum started, "sometimes it's better to handle these things quietly. Like you handled throwing me out," I challenged. "Or abandoning Valerie when she needed help." "That's not fair," she protested. "None of it was fair." Valerie's voice rose. "Do you know what it was like, living up to your impossible standards, always afraid of making one wrong move? We wanted to protect you. By suffocating us." I leaned forward. "By making us choose between your love and our own happiness. Enough." Dad's voice cut through the tension. "Rose, our daughters are right. We've been wrong, terribly wrong." Mom's hand shook as she reached for her water. "I don't know how to be different." "Start by telling us why," I said softly. "Why was appearance more important than our happiness?" She was quiet for so long, I thought she wouldn't answer. Then, "My mother left us when I was 12, just walked away from her family. The shame, the whispers, the pity, I swore my children would never face that, would never give anyone reason to gossip." "So you controlled us instead," Valerie concluded. "I thought I was protecting you." Mom's eyes filled with tears. "But I just drove you away, didn't I?" Lucas cleared his throat. "I should go. But Sylvia, we need an answer on the settlement." I looked at the offer again, then at my family. "Tell them no deal. Some things are worth fighting for." After he left, Dad reached across the table and took my hand. "I'm proud of you, both of you. The way you've handled this, supported each other." "We learned it somewhere," I said, squeezing his hand. "Even if we had to redefine it our own way." "I want to try," Mum said suddenly. "To be different, to listen. I can't promise I'll always understand, but..." She took a shaky breath. "I miss my daughters." Valerie and I exchanged glances. Years of hurt couldn't be erased in one dinner, but maybe they could begin to heal. "Start with this," Valerie suggested. "Come to the courthouse next week. When Parker's arraigned, show everyone where you really stand." Mom hesitated, then nodded. "What should I wear?" We all laughed, breaking the tension. "Something that shows you're not afraid of gossip anymore," I suggested. The waiter returned with our food, and conversation shifted to lighter topics. Dad asked about the company's expansion plans. Mom actually listened when Valerie talked about her new job in our marketing department. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. As we were leaving, Lucas texted me. "Parker's team leaked the settlement refusal to the press. You're trending." I showed Valerie the message. She grinned. "Let them talk. We're done hiding." "Girls," Mom called from the doorway. "Your father and we'd like to come see your office properly, if that's all right." "Next week," I said. "After the arraignment." She nodded, understanding the condition. "Next week then." Walking to our cars, Valerie nudged my shoulder. Think this will last? I don't know, I answered honestly, but for the first time, I think they're actually trying. Speaking of trying, she smirked, I saw how Lucas looks at you. Focus on the family drama at hand, I laughed, but felt my cheeks warm. Sometimes the biggest victories aren't in grand gestures or public takedowns. Sometimes they're in small moments, a mother asking to listen, a father admitting his mistakes, sisters finding their way back to each other, and sometimes, just sometimes, they're in finally being brave enough to let people in again. The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters, their cameras flashing as Parker was led in handcuffs through the main entrance. I stood with Valerie, watching him shuffle past in his designer suit, now wrinkled from custody. Ms. Santiago, they called out, any comment on the charges? Before I could respond, a familiar voice cut through the chaos. My daughters will not be commenting today. Mom strode up the steps, wearing a bright red dress that stood out among the sea of suits. Dad followed close behind, his hand supportively on her back. The reporters' cameras went wild. Everyone knew the story of our family rift by now. Mrs. Santiago, are you supporting your daughters against your son-in-law? Former son-in-law, Mum corrected firmly. And yes, I stand with my daughters, always. Inside the courtroom, we watched Parker plead not guilty to all charges. His lawyer, James, looked nervous as he requested bail. When the judge denied it, citing flight risk, I felt Valerie's hand slip into mine. You okay? I whispered. She nodded, squeezing my hand. Better than okay. After the hearing, we gathered in my office for lunch. Monica had ordered celebration sushi, a far cry from the formal family dinners of our childhood. Lucas joined us, sitting closer to me than strictly necessary. The board is thrilled, Monica announced, checking her phone. Our integrity ratings are through the roof. 3 new major clients want to sign with us, and the tech community's calling you a whistleblower hero, Lucas added, grinning at Valerie. Not bad for someone who started in the mailroom. Mom set down her chopsticks. I've been thinking about the company's charity foundation. What about it? I asked cautiously. Well, it needs a director, someone with experience in community relations, who understands the importance of second chances. She straightened her shoulders. I'd like to volunteer. The room went silent. Dad stopped mid-bite, watching for our reaction. You want to work? For me, I clarified. With you, she corrected. Both of you, if you'll have me. Valerie and I exchanged looks. There would be conditions, I said slowly. Professional boundaries, no special treatment. I understand. Mom smiled tentatively. I think it's time I learned to follow someone else's lead. Speaking of following leads, Monica interrupted. Lucas has an announcement. All eyes turned to him. He cleared his throat, looking nervous. The patent office approved our new security protocol, the one Sylvia and I developed together. That's wonderful, Mom exclaimed, then caught herself. I assume that's wonderful. It is, I confirmed, fighting a smile at her effort. It means we can start implementing the changes we've been planning. Changes like making me head of marketing? Valerie asked innocently. You earned that promotion fair and square, Monica pointed out. Your campaign ideas are brilliant. Just like her sister, Dad said proudly, then added, both my daughters making their old man look good. Harold, Mom chided, but she was smiling too. My phone buzzed, a news alert about Parker. His other victims were coming forward, encouraged by our story. The house of cards was truly falling. Remember when you first showed up at my office? I asked Valerie. I thought you were here to destroy me. I thought I was here to save myself, she admitted. Instead, you saved me. We saved each other. That's what family should do, Dad said quietly. We forgot that somewhere along the way. But we're learning, Mom added, reaching for his hand. Together. Lucas's knee bumped mine under the table, deliberately this time. Speaking of together, Sylvia, would you like to have dinner with me tonight? Just us? The old fear flickered. What would my parents think? But Mom was smiling encouragingly, and Dad actually winked. Yes, I said simply. I'd like that. Finally, Monica threw her hands up. I've been watching you two dance around each other for months. As laughter filled the room, I looked around at my family. Old and new, broken and healing. Mom discussing foundation ideas with Monica. Dad and Valerie debating marketing strategies. Lucas's hand finding mine under the table. This wasn't the perfect family I'd dreamed of as a child. It was messy and complicated and real. We had scars and struggles and so much still to work through. But we were trying. Really trying. To new beginnings, Valerie proposed, raising her water glass. To family, Mom added softly. To writing our own rules, I finished. We clinked glasses, and I felt something settle in my chest. Not an ending, we were far from that, but a beginning. A real one, built on truth and acceptance, and the kind of love that grows stronger for having been tested. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's letting go of who you were supposed to be, and becoming who you are instead. Together.
The conference room fell silent as Emma's heels clicked against the hardwood floor. My hands trembled as I tried to gather the scattered papers, knowing what was coming. 20 pairs of eyes fixed on me, and I could feel the pity radiating from my colleagues. This level of incompetence is unacceptable. Emma's voice cut through the silence. Phoebe, you've embarrassed not only yourself but our entire firm. I'm Phoebe, the younger Morrison sister, though sometimes I wonder if Emma and I truly share the same blood. Where she got the sharp angles and steel spine, I inherited our mother's soft features and, according to Emma, her tendency to dream rather than do. I can explain, I started, but Emma held up her hand. The Phillips case required basic due diligence. Instead, you missed a filing deadline that could have cost us everything. Her voice remained eerily calm. Fortunately, Omar caught your mistake before it became irreversible. Omar, standing near the door, offered a slight nod. Was that sympathy in his eyes? Hard to tell with the corporate sharks. Emma, it was one mistake, Nicole whispered from beside me. Everyone makes... Silence. Emma's command froze the room. Phoebe, clear out your desk. You're terminated, effective immediately. The words hit like a physical blow. 6 years of working under my sister's shadow, trying to prove myself, ended in this moment of public humiliation. You can't just, I started. I can, and I am. Security will escort you out. I stood, my chair scraping against the floor. Our parents would be ashamed of you. The words escaped before I could stop them. Emma's face hardened, but something flickered in her eyes. Pain, maybe? It vanished so quickly I might have imagined it. Our parents aren't here, she said coldly, and their absence doesn't excuse mediocrity. I grabbed my laptop and walked out, head high despite the tears threatening to spill. Nicole caught up with me at my desk. This is wrong, she said, helping me pack. She's your sister, for God's sake. I laughed bitterly. Sister? Emma stopped being my sister the day our parents died. She became my boss, my landlord, my keeper, everything except family. What will you do? Honestly, I have no idea. I shoved photos into my box, including one of Emma and me at my college graduation. We were smiling then, real smiles, not the corporate masks we wore now. She controls everything, my job, my apartment, even my inheritance. Security appeared at my desk, and Nicole squeezed my hand. Call me later, okay? The walk of shame through the office felt endless. Whispers followed me to the elevator. As the doors closed, I caught one last glimpse of Emma watching from her office, phone already to her ear, probably calling her next meeting to order. Outside, the spring air hit my face, and I finally let the tears fall. My phone buzzed. A text from Emma. Rent's due on the 1st. Don't be late. I sat on a nearby bench, watching people stream in and out of the towering office building. How had we ended up here? After the car accident that took our parents 3 years ago, Emma took control of everything. The family estate, the trust funds, even my career path. I'm protecting you, she'd said. You need guidance. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was the failure she thought I was. But sitting there, something sparked inside me, a tiny flame of rebellion, of anger. My phone buzzed again. This time, an unknown number. Ms. Morrison, this is James Patterson from Riverside Legal Services. We're executing the will of your Aunt Riley Owens. Please contact us at your earliest convenience regarding your inheritance. Aunt Riley? I barely remembered her. Mom's eccentric sister who disappeared to Europe when I was young. But inheritance? A third buzz. Emma again. Dinner meeting tonight, 7 p.m. We need to discuss your future options. I stared at the messages, then at the building where my sister still ruled her kingdom. For the first time in years, I hit decline on Emma's invitation. No, I whispered to myself. Not this time. I stood up, grabbed my box of belongings, and started walking. Emma had always said I was too soft, too willing to bend. Well, even the softest materials can become steel under enough pressure. My phone kept buzzing, but I didn't look at it again. Instead, I called the number from Riverside Legal Services. Whatever Aunt Riley had left me, it was mine. Not Emma's, not the firm's, but mine. As I walked away from the building that had been my prison for 6 years, I felt something I hadn't experienced since our parents died. Hope. Emma might have taken my job, controlled my life, and tried to break my spirit, but she'd forgotten one thing. I was a Morrison too. And Morrisons don't break easily. The law office of Riverside Legal Services was only 15 blocks away. I started walking, leaving my old life behind with each step. James Patterson's office looked nothing like the sleek corporate environment I'd left behind. Cramped bookshelves lined the walls, and his desk was buried under stacks of papers. He adjusted his wire-rimmed glasses as he read through Aunt Riley's will. Your aunt was quite specific about her wishes, he said, pulling out a thick envelope. The house on Maple Street, along with its contents and a modest trust fund, goes to you. Maple Street? My heart stopped. That's where I live. Yes, the Victorian 3-story at 1247 Maple. He slid a photo across the desk, the same house Emma had been collecting rent from me for the past 3 years. There must be some mistake. I grabbed the photo with trembling hands. My sister Emma manages all our family properties. James shook his head. This property was never part of your parents' estate. Your aunt purchased it 20 years ago. She left explicit instructions that you, and only you, were to inherit it upon her death. The rooms spun. All those rent checks, all those threats about late payments. When did my aunt die? I whispered. 3 years ago. He checked his notes. The executor of her will tried contacting you multiple times, but your sister informed us you were unavailable due to a family tragedy. 3 years, right when our parents died, right when Emma took control. My phone buzzed again, Emma's 15th call since this morning. I declined it. What happens now? I asked. The house is yours, free and clear. Here are the deed and keys. He pushed them across the desk. The trust fund provides for maintenance and property taxes. It's not a fortune, but it's enough to maintain the house and provide some security. I left his office in a daze, clutching the documents. On the street, I nearly collided with Logan, my childhood friend who lived down the block. Phoebe, are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. I showed him the papers. His eyes widened as he read. Holy shit, he whispered. Emma's been charging you rent for a house you own? Apparently. That's fraud, Phoebe, like actual criminal fraud. My phone buzzed again. This time I answered. Where are you? Emma demanded. We need to discuss your situation. My situation? I felt a strange calm settle over me. You mean how you've been collecting rent on a house I own? Silence on the other end. Then, who have you been talking to? Aunt Riley's lawyer. Interesting timing, isn't it? Right after our parents died, when you took control of everything? Come to my office. Now, we need to handle this privately. No. The word felt foreign, but good. I'm done with private family discussions that somehow always end with you in control. Phoebe, you're being dramatic. I was protecting you. By stealing from me? Logan touched my arm, pointing to a cafe across the street. I nodded and started walking. It wasn't stealing, Emma said. I was managing your assets. Assets I didn't know I had. We'll discuss this later, with lawyers present. I hung up as Logan and I entered the cafe. My phone immediately lit up with texts. Don't do anything rash. Think about your career. You need me. Logan ordered us coffee and listened as I explained everything. What are you going to do? He asked. I don't know. I stared into my coffee. Part of me wants to press charges. But she's your sister. Is she? Because sisters don't do this to each other. My phone buzzed with a new message, this time from Nicole. Emma's going ballistic. Half the office heard her screaming at Omar about some house. What's going on? I showed Logan the text. He grinned. Sounds like the queen's losing control of her kingdom. Maybe. I took a deep breath. But I need to be smart about this. Emma's still got connections, power, and you've got proof of fraud, Logan countered. Plus, I'm guessing there are people at that firm who'd love to see her fall. He was right. I thought about Omar's sympathetic look, Nicole's quiet support, all the others who'd suffered under Emma's reign. My phone buzzed again, an email from James Patterson. Ms. Morrison, given the circumstances, I feel compelled to mention that your aunt left additional documentation regarding your sister's actions. Please contact me if you wish to discuss. I showed Logan the email. His eyebrows shot up. Looks like Aunt Riley knew exactly what she was doing. I nodded slowly, a plan forming in my mind. Emma always said I was too soft to succeed in law. And maybe it's time to show her that kindness and weakness aren't the same thing. I stood up, suddenly energized. I need to make some calls, starting with Nicole. Logan smiled. The student becomes the master? No, I said, gathering my things. Just a sister who's finally standing up for herself. As I left the cafe, I felt lighter than I had in years. Emma had taught me everything she knew about law, control, and power. Now it was time to show her what I'd learned about justice. You want to do what? Nicole stared at me across my kitchen table, her coffee forgotten. Turn the house into a legal aid center, I repeated. The first floor has enough space for offices, and I can live upstairs. And you want me to leave Emma's firm to join you? She laughed, but I could see the interest in her eyes. You've seen how many people get turned away because they can't afford Emma's rates. We could help them. Nicole leaned forward. This isn't just about helping people, is it? No, I admitted. But wanting revenge doesn't mean we can't do good along the way. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through her contacts. I know at least 3 paralegals who'd jump ship immediately, and... She hesitated. What? There's this guy, Damien. He runs a small practice focused on tenant rights. He's been looking for partners. My doorbell rang before I could respond. Through the window, I saw Emma standing on my porch. Our porch, I reminded myself. Back door, I whispered to Nicole. Text me later. She slipped out just as Emma started pounding on the front door. I took my time answering it. Finally, Emma pushed past me. We need to talk about this ridiculous idea of yours. Which one? The legal aid center or pressing charges for fraud? She spun around. Is that what this is about? Money? Fine. Name your price. It's not about money. I crossed my arms. It's about you lying to me for 3 years. I was protecting our family's reputation. You weren't ready. To know I owned a house? To make my own decisions? When exactly was I going to be ready, Emma? She paced the room, her designer heels clicking on the hardwood floors. You don't understand what it takes to succeed in this world. I've spent years building our reputation. Your reputation, I corrected, and now you're worried I'll ruin it. She stopped pacing. What do you want? I want you to leave. This is my house, and you're trespassing. Don't be childish. Security cameras, I pointed to the corners of the room, installed this morning. Would you like me to call the police? She left, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. I waited until her car disappeared before calling Nicole. Coast is clear. Tell me about Damien. 2 weeks later, the sign went up. Morrison Community Legal Services. Nicole and 4 other former employees from Emma's firm had joined us. Damien brought his existing clients and an energy that made even the longest days feel manageable. We've got 10 new cases this week, he announced during our morning meeting. 3 evictions, 2 workplace discrimination, and 5 family court matters. Any conflicts with Emma's firm? I asked. Not yet, but... He hesitated. Word is she's losing clients. The Phillips case you supposedly botched? They switched to us yesterday. Nicole touched my arm. There's something else you should know. She lowered her voice. We have a mole in Emma's firm. What? Omar's been feeding us information. Apparently, he's not happy with how Emma's running things. I remembered Omar's sympathetic look the day I was fired. Why would he help us? Because, a voice said from the doorway, your sister's empire is built on sand. Omar stood there, looking decidedly less polished than usual in jeans and a casual shirt. Nice sign, he said, walking in. Mind if we talk privately? In my office, he got straight to the point. Emma's been cutting corners for years. Nothing illegal exactly, but ethical gray areas. The partners are nervous. Why tell me this? Because you're offering something we've forgotten about. Actual justice. He handed me a flash drive. Client lists, billing records, internal memos. Use it however you want. After he left, Damien found me still staring at the drive. You okay? I wanted to hurt Emma, I said, but this could destroy her. He sat across from me. Then don't use it to destroy her. Use it to help people. I looked up at him, struck by the warmth in his eyes. Is that what you'd do? I think you already know what you want to do. He smiled. The question is whether you're ready to do it. My phone buzzed. A text from Emma. Heard about your little project. Hope you know what you're doing. I showed Damien the message. She's not going to make this easy. Good things rarely are. He stood up. Come on, we've got clients waiting. In the reception area, a young mother sat clutching eviction papers. Her eyes held the same fear I'd felt under Emma's control. Hi, I said, sitting beside her. I'm Phoebe, and I'm going to help you. For the first time since starting this, I felt completely certain. Emma had taught me that power comes from making others feel small. But watching this woman's relief as we reviewed her case, I realized there was another kind of power. The kind that comes from helping others stand tall. The local news crew packed up their equipment as Nicole handed me a coffee. That went well, she said. A feature story on community legal services? Emma must be fuming. She hasn't responded to my texts in weeks, I said, straightening the papers on my desk. The interview had highlighted our recent victories. 3 prevented evictions, 2 workplace discrimination settlements, and a growing waitlist of clients. My phone buzzed. Omar again. These calls were becoming more frequent. Meet me at Riverside Park, 30 minutes, important. Nicole read the message over my shoulder. Be careful, Emma might have figured out he's helping us. That's why we're meeting in public. I grabbed my coat. Hold my calls? The park was busy with lunch crowds, but I spotted Omar easily, pacing near the fountain. He looked nervous. Emma's planning something, he said without preamble. She called an emergency partner meeting this morning. About? Your aunt's estate. She's claiming you're mentally unfit to manage the inheritance. My stomach dropped. Can she do that? She's got 3 psychiatrists ready to testify about your history of emotional instability and poor decision-making. He ran a hand through his hair. She's going after guardianship. That's insane. I'm running a successful practice, which she'll paint as a manic episode. He lowered his voice. But I've got a proposition. Half the partners want her out. With your evidence of fraud and my insider testimony, you want to help stage a coup? Think about it. You get protection from her guardianship claims, and I get managing partner. Before I could respond, a familiar voice cut through the air. Well, isn't this cozy? Emma stood there, immaculate in her charcoal suit, 2 senior partners flanking her. Taking meetings in parks now, Omar? She smiled, all teeth. How unprofessional. Omar straightened. Just getting some air. With my sister, interesting choice of company. She turned to me. We filed the guardianship papers this morning. For your own good, of course. Of course, I matched her smile. Did you include the part about collecting rent on my property? A simple misunderstanding. I'm sure the judge will understand I was protecting you from yourself. She glanced at her watch. The hearing's next week. Do clean yourself up for court. After she left, Omar gripped my arm. We need to move fast. I can have the partners ready to vote by Friday. No, I pulled away. I'm not playing her game. This isn't a game, Phoebe. She'll destroy everything you've built. Maybe. I started walking. Or maybe it's time to show her exactly what I've built. Back at the office, Damien was waiting with a stack of files. Heard about the guardianship claim. We've got options. I know what I want to do. I sat down. Remember that mother we helped last month? The eviction case? Sarah? What about her? Call her. And the Thompson family, the Ramirez kids, everyone we've helped. I want them all at that hearing. He smiled slowly. Character witnesses? Better. Real people whose lives were changed because I was unstable enough to help them. Nicole burst in. You need to see this. She turned on the office TV where Emma was giving a press conference. As her older sister, I only want what's best for Phoebe, she was saying. Her recent behavior has raised concerns. Damien muted it. She's trying to control the narrative. Then let's change it. I picked up my phone. Remember that reporter from this morning? The next few days were a blur. While Emma painted me as unstable on every news outlet that would listen, we quietly gathered our witnesses. Damien worked late into the night, preparing statements and documentation. Omar called twice more, pushing his coup plan, but I didn't answer. The night before the hearing, I found Damien alone in the office. Why are you helping me? I asked. This could hurt your practice, too. He looked up from his papers. Because you reminded me why I became a lawyer. He stood, moving closer. And because you're the strongest person I know. I don't feel strong, I admitted. I'm terrified. Good. He smiled. Use it. Channel that fear into fighting for what's right. His hand found mine, warm and steady. For a moment, we stood there, the weight of tomorrow heavy between us. My phone buzzed. Emma, finally. Last chance. Drop this ridiculous legal aid project, come back to the firm, and I'll withdraw the guardianship petition. I showed Damien the message. What are you going to do? He asked. I typed my response. See you in court, sis. Looking up at Damien, I felt that same certainty from our first case. Emma thinks power means having control over others. Tomorrow I'm going to show her what real power looks like. He squeezed my hand. We all are. Outside my office, I could see our waiting room full of clients' photos, real people with real stories. Tomorrow, Emma would learn that her kind of power couldn't stand against the strength of truth and community. The community center bustled with activity as we set up for our legal aid workshop. Emma's guardianship hearing was in 3 days, but I refused to let it derail our work. Damien was explaining tenant rights to a packed room when Nicole nudged me. She's here, she whispered. Emma stood in the doorway, looking out of place in her designer suit. The room fell silent as she walked in, her heels echoing on the linoleum floor. Don't stop on my account, she said, taking a seat in the back. I'm just observing. Damien continued his presentation, but I could feel Emma's eyes boring into me. After the session, she cornered me by the water cooler. Quite the production, she said, though I notice you're not charging anyone. That's the point of legal aid, Emma. The point is, you're throwing away your education on lost causes. She lowered her voice. These people don't need free lawyers. They need to make better choices. Like I did? I met her gaze. Following you blindly, letting you control my life? I gave you everything. You took everything, I corrected. And now you're mad because I found my own path. Sarah, our former eviction client, approached with her daughter. Phoebe? We brought cookies for the volunteers. Emma's lips tightened as Sarah's daughter hugged me. Thanks to Ms. Phoebe, we still have our home, the little girl announced proudly. After they left, Emma's mask slipped slightly. You really think this makes a difference? I know it does, but you wouldn't understand that. Because I'm the villain in your story? She laughed bitterly. You have no idea what I've sacrificed for this family. Before I could respond, Damien called me over to help with a client. When I looked back, Emma was gone. That evening, Damien and I worked late, reviewing case files for the hearing. The office was quiet except for the hum of the coffee maker. You okay? He asked, noticing my distraction. Something Emma said about sacrifices. I pushed away the files. I never asked why she became so controlling after our parents died. Maybe you should. It's too late for that. He moved closer, his hand finding mine. It's never too late for truth. The moment stretched between us, heavy with unspoken words. Then my phone buzzed. Omar again. The partners are ready, his message read. Say the word and Emma's out tomorrow. Damien read the message over my shoulder. Are you tempted to destroy my sister's career? I thought I was, but now. I looked around our modest office, at the thank you cards pinned to the wall. This feels different. Because it is different. He squeezed my hand. You're building something, not tearing something down. A knock at the door interrupted us. Logan stood there looking worried. You need to see this, he said, handing me a manila envelope. Found it while cleaning out my mom's attic. Inside was a newspaper clipping from 15 years ago. Local lawyer sacrifices career to save family firm. The photo showed a younger Emma standing beside our father. Read it, Logan urged. The article detailed how Emma had taken the fall for our father's mishandling of client funds, accepting a suspension rather than let the scandal destroy the firm. She was 20, fresh out of college. She never told me, I whispered. There's more, Logan said. Mom kept all the articles. Emma spent those suspended years working 3 jobs to keep you in private school. My phone buzzed again. Omar. Partners meeting tomorrow. Are you in? Damien watched me stare at the message. What are you thinking? I'm thinking about choices, I said slowly, and sacrifices. I typed my response to Omar. No coup. Find another way. You're showing mercy? Logan asked. No. I stood up, gathering my files. I'm choosing to be better than her. That's different. Damien smiled. So what's the plan? First, we prepare for the hearing. Then, I looked at the old newspaper photo of my sister. Then I think it's time for a real family conversation. My phone lit up with a text from Emma. Dinner tomorrow, just us, please. For the first time in years, I saw the period after please for what it was. Not a command, but a request. Go, Damien said, reading over my shoulder. Some battles are won with swords, others with olive branches. I nodded, gathering my courage. Will you be here? After? He touched my cheek gently. Always. As I left the office, I passed our wall of client photos. Each face represented someone who'd needed help and found it here. Emma might have sacrificed her early career for our family, but somewhere along the way, she'd forgotten why lawyers exist in the first place. Tomorrow, I'd remind her. And maybe, just maybe, we'd both learn something about the true meaning of family and justice. The restaurant Emma chose was empty except for us. She'd rented the entire place. Classic Emma controlling the environment. She sat at our usual table, already nursing a glass of wine. You came, she said as I sat down. Almost didn't. I placed the old newspaper article on the table. Want to tell me about this? She stared at the yellowed paper, her fingers trembling slightly as she touched it. Where did you get this? Logan found it. 15 years is a long time to keep a secret. It wasn't relevant. You took the fall for Dad's mistake. Worked 3 jobs to keep me in school. Seems pretty relevant. The waiter approached, but Emma waved him away. That was a different time. When did it change? When did protecting me become controlling me? She took a long sip of wine. The day of the accident. The police called me first. Did you know that? I had to identify their bodies while you were still at that art show. Emma, Dad's firm was in chaos. His partners were circling like vultures. You were falling apart. Someone had to take control. So you did what you always do, sacrificed yourself to protect me. And look how you repay me. Her voice hardened. Starting a competing firm, stealing my clients. Your clients? I leaned forward. You mean like Sarah, who couldn't afford your retainer while facing eviction? Or the Ramirez kids fighting for their grandmother's medical care? Don't be naive. Pro bono work doesn't pay the bills. Actually, it does. I pulled out our financial reports. We're profitable, Emma, small but growing, and we're helping people. She started to respond when Omar burst into the restaurant, face flushed. Emma, we have a problem. He stopped short, seeing me. I didn't know you had company. Speak, Emma commanded. The Phillips case. They're filing a complaint with the Bar Association about the billing irregularities. Emma's face went white. That's impossible. Those records were sealed. They had help. Omar looked at me. Someone with access to our systems. You think I started. No, Emma cut in. This is your handiwork, isn't it, Omar? Finally making your move? Omar straightened. The partners meet tomorrow. We're recommending your immediate removal. After everything I've done for you, You've done nothing but rule through fear, he snapped. It's over, Emma. He left, leaving silence in his wake. Emma's hand shook as she poured more wine. Congratulations, she said bitterly. You win. This isn't what I wanted. No? Isn't this your perfect revenge? Taking everything from me like I supposedly took from you? I turned down Omar's coup offer. Twice. She froze, glass halfway to her lips. What? He approached me weeks ago. I said no. Why? Because destroying you won't fix us. I reached for her hand, but she pulled away. Emma, when did you last take a vacation? Have a real relationship? Live any life outside that office? I had responsibilities. To who? Dad's gone. I'm grown. Who are you protecting now? Her glass clattered to the table, red wine spreading like blood across the white tablecloth. I don't know how to be anything else, she whispered. Then let me help you. Like you helped me. By destroying my career? By saving you from it. I pulled out another document. Transfer of partnership. Omar doesn't have the votes without my support. She stared at the paper. What's the catch? Step down as managing partner. Take a sabbatical. Let someone else carry the weight for a while. And become what? A charity lawyer like you? Become my sister again. I finally caught her hand. Remember her? The one who worked 3 jobs to keep me in school? Tears formed in her eyes. The first I'd seen since our parents' funeral. I was so angry when you started your firm. Not because of the competition, but because you were succeeding without me. I learned from the best. I squeezed her hand. Even if the best lost her way. Her phone buzzed, probably the partners demanding answers. She ignored it. The hearing, she said. I'll withdraw the petition. Thank you. And the firm? Take the sabbatical. Find yourself. The firm will be there if you want it, but on new terms. She nodded slowly, then looked around at the empty restaurant. I really have controlled everything, haven't I? Start small. Maybe next time we can eat somewhere with actual people? A ghost of a smile crossed her face. Baby steps. Outside, Damien was waiting in his car as promised. Emma saw him and raised an eyebrow. He seems devoted. He is. She nodded. Good, you deserve that. We stood awkwardly, years of hurt and hope hanging between us. Lunch next week? I offered. In public? Baby steps, she repeated and walked away. Watching her go, I realized some victories don't feel like winning. They feel like the first painful step toward healing. The box of family photos sat untouched on my dining room table for 3 days before Emma finally came over. She looked different, dressed in jeans and a sweater instead of her usual power suit, hair loose around her shoulders. Nice sign, she said, nodding toward the Morrison Community Legal Services placard visible through the window. Dad would have hated it. Mom would have loved it. She would. Emma picked up a photo from the box, us as kids, gap-toothed and grinning. God, you were such a happy child. Until you became my warden instead of my sister. She flinched. I deserved that. Did you? I poured us both coffee. I've been thinking about what you said about the accident, about having to identify their bodies alone. Ancient history? Is it? Because you haven't taken a day off since then. She sipped her coffee, avoiding my eyes. Someone had to be strong. And someone had to be controlled? The words came out sharper than intended. I was trying to protect you. From what, Emma? From making my own choices? My own mistakes? From ending up like them? Her cup clattered against the saucer. Dad's firm was drowning in debt. Mom knew it, covered for him, enabled him. Their last fight was about money. I sat back, stunned. The night of the accident? They were driving to a client meeting. Dad was desperate for cash flow. Mom wanted him to come clean, admit the firm was failing. She wiped her eyes roughly. When the police called, all I could think was, I have to do better. I have to protect what's left of our family. By becoming a dictator? By becoming successful. She stood up pacing. Every decision, every sacrifice was to ensure we'd never be vulnerable again. Including stealing my inheritance? Including making sure you didn't waste it on dreams that wouldn't pay the bills. Like helping people? Like throwing away your potential on lost causes. Damien's voice cut through our argument. Are those lost causes? We turned to find him in the doorway, holding a stack of photos, our client success stories. The Ramirez family kept their grandmother's house, he continued, laying down photos. Sarah's daughter is thriving in school. The Thompson kids have health care. That's different, Emma protested. Why? Because it doesn't make millions? I stepped closer to her. You want to talk about waste? Look at yourself, Emma. When's the last time you smiled like this? I held up our childhood photo. She stared at it, then at the client photos. I don't know how to be any other way. Yes, you do. I touched her arm. The sister who worked 3 jobs to keep me in school? She knew exactly who she was. That girl was naive. That girl was brave, Damien said quietly, like her sister is now. Emma sank back into her chair. The partners want answers by tomorrow. So, give them some. I sat beside her. Take the sabbatical, travel, learn who Emma is without the power suits and corner office. And the firm? We'll survive. Maybe even thrive with some fresh perspective. She picked up another photo. Mom and Dad at their last Christmas. They made so many mistakes. Yes, I agreed. And so have we. The question is, what do we do now? She was quiet for a long moment. That legal aid workshop you ran last week, do you need more volunteers? Always. I might know some lawyers, good ones, looking for meaning beyond billable hours. Damien smiled. We could use the help. Emma stood, gathering her purse. At the door, she turned back. That photo of us as kids. Could I have a copy? Better idea. I grabbed my keys. Let's get dinner. Somewhere casual with actual people. We can talk about everything. The firm, the workshops, whatever you want. Including this thing between you and him? She nodded toward Damien with a hint of her old sharpness. Baby steps, remember? For the first time in years, she laughed. A real laugh, not her courtroom chuckle. Fine, but I'm not eating anywhere with paper napkins. Progress, not perfection, Damien quipped. As we left, I caught sight of our reflection in the window. 2 sisters, walking together instead of one leading and one following. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but at least now we were both choosing to walk it. Phoebe, Emma said as we reached her car, I'm sorry for everything. I know. I linked my arm through hers. Me too. Behind us, Damien locked up the office, the Morrison Community Legal Services sign glowing softly in the evening light. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new cases, new chances to help people. But tonight was about 2 sisters finding their way back to each other, one baby step at a time. Italian, Emma suggested, as long as it has paper napkins. She rolled her eyes, but she was smiling. Brat. Dictator. This time, we both laughed. The autumn breeze rustled through the courtyard as volunteers set up chairs for our outdoor legal clinic. Emma adjusted a stack of forms, looking almost comfortable in her business casual attire. You're color-coding the intake forms now? I teased. Organization matters, she said, but with a smile. Even in legal aid. Since starting her sabbatical, she'd thrown herself into our community work with the same intensity she'd once reserved for corporate law. The difference was in her eyes. They were clearer now, more present. Nicole rushed over, waving a newspaper. Have you seen this? The headline read, Morrison Sisters Transform Local Legal Scene. Below was a photo of Emma and me at last week's tenant rights workshop. Dad would have had a heart attack, Emma said, tracing the words. Mom would have framed it, I countered. Speaking of framing, Damien appeared with a wrapped package. For your office. Inside was the old photo of Emma and me as kids, professionally restored and framed, alongside a recent picture of us at the clinic. The inscription read, The Morrison Sisters, Then and Now. Emma touched the glass gently. We've come full circle, haven't we? Before I could respond, Omar walked into the courtyard. Emma tensed, but he raised his hands in peace. Just here to help, he said, if you'll have me. I looked at Emma, letting her decide. She straightened her shoulders. Intake forms are color-coded. Try to keep up. He grinned and grabbed a stack of blue forms. The courtyard filled quickly with clients and volunteer lawyers. Emma worked the crowd like she was born to it, her corporate experience lending authority to her compassion. Ms. Morrison, Sarah's daughter ran up, clutching a school paper. I got an A on my essay about community heroes. I wrote about you both. Emma read it, her hands trembling slightly. The Morrison sisters show that being strong doesn't mean being mean. Out of the mouths of babes. Pretty smart kid, Damien said, slipping his arm around my waist. Logan arrived with coffee for everyone. Like old times, he said, except better. Emma watched as Nicole trained new volunteers, her expression thoughtful. I never understood before, she said quietly. The power of helping instead of controlling. Better late than never, I squeezed her hand. Ms. Emma, a client called from the registration table. We need your expertise. She straightened, lawyer mode engaging, but softer now, more human. Duty calls. As she walked away, Damien hugged me from behind. Proud of you both. We're still figuring it out, I admitted. That's what family does. The day flew by in a blur of consultations and coffee. As sunset painted the courtyard golden, Emma and I sat on the steps, watching volunteers pack up. The partners called, she said. They want me back. My heart stopped. And? I told them I needed more time. She smiled. Turns out helping people is addictive. Does this mean you're joining us permanently? Let's say I'm exploring my options. Speaking of which, she nodded toward Damien, who was helping load supplies. When are you going to make that official? When are you going to let me set you up with Omar? She threw a paper clip at me. Baby steps, remember? Always. Sarah approached with more cookies, her daughter in tow. Thank you both, she said, for everything. After they left, Emma stood and brushed off her pants. Want to grab dinner? Somewhere with paper napkins? Actually, I pulled out an old photo. I was thinking we could cook. Mom's lasagna recipe? She stared at the photo. Mom in the kitchen, both of us helping, covered in flour and laughing. I haven't cooked since... I know. Me neither. She took a deep breath. We'll probably mess it up. Probably. The kitchen will be a disaster. Definitely. She linked her arm through mine. Let's do it. As we walked home, the Morrison Community Legal Services sign glowed behind us. Ahead, our house, no longer a symbol of control and resentment, but of reconciliation and new beginnings. Hey, Phoebe, Emma said as we reached the porch. Yeah? Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for finding your way back. Inside, we pulled out Mom's recipe box, flour soon dusting the counter like snow. And if we both got teary-eyed when the familiar scent filled the kitchen, neither of us mentioned it. Some victories come with fanfare and headlines. Others come quietly, in flour-dusted kitchens and paper napkin dinners, in sisters finding their way back to each other, one recipe, one case, one moment at a time. The lasagna was imperfect, but then again, so were we. And somehow, that made it taste even better.
The last person I wanted to see at my father's funeral was my sister, but there she was, perfect as always in her tailored black dress, accepting condolences like a queen holding court. I stood in the corner of the funeral home, clutching my worn leather portfolio like a shield. My name is Amelia, and I've spent my entire life being the Santos sister who never quite measured up. Darling, you made it! My mother's voice carried across the room, drawing unwanted attention. She rushed over, her face pinched with worry. Though really, couldn't you have worn something more appropriate? I glanced down at my black dress. Perfectly funeral appropriate, just not designer like Alicia's. Hi, Mom. Yes, I made it. Amelia. Alicia's voice cut through the murmur of conversations. She glided over, her surgeon's hands clasped elegantly in front of her. I was beginning to wonder if you'd show up at all. Of course I came. He was my father, too. Was he? When was the last time you visited him at the hospital? Her words were razor sharp, meant to draw blood. Too busy with your art? Before I could respond, Knox, Dad's lawyer, appeared at my elbow. Amelia, could I have a moment? She's always had a moment for everyone except family, Alicia announced loudly enough for nearby mourners to hear. Did you know she missed Dad's last birthday because of some gallery showing? My cheeks burned. It wasn't just some showing. It was my first solo exhibition. which sold exactly 0 pieces, if I remember correctly. Alicia's smile was surgical precision. At least when I'm absent, it's because I'm saving lives. Ladies, Knox interrupted. This isn't the time or place. Mom wrung her hands. Alicia's right, though. Your father was so disappointed, Amelia. If you'd just chosen a real career like your sister. The familiar weight of their disappointment pressed down on my shoulders. I watched as Angelo, my childhood friend, approached with concern in his eyes. His wife, Reese, followed close behind. Hey, how about we all take a breath? Angelo suggested, placing himself between me and my sister. We're here to remember your father. Oh yes, let's remember him, Alicia continued, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Let's remember how he spent his last years wondering why his younger daughter couldn't be bothered to visit more than twice a year. How he had to explain to his friends why you weren't at family functions. Why you couldn't just be normal. Enough! Knox's voice was sharp enough to silence the room. Robert wouldn't have wanted this. I turned to leave, but Alicia grabbed my arm. Running away again? You're such an embarrassment. You couldn't even dress properly for Dad's funeral. I yanked my arm free. At least I'm genuine. When was the last time you were real about anything, Alicia? The room fell silent. Even the funeral director stopped arranging flowers to watch. Get out, Alicia hissed. You don't deserve to be here. I looked to my mother for support, but she was already turning away, patting Alicia's arm consolingly. The familiar ache of rejection bloomed in my chest. Come on, Angela whispered, touching my elbow. I'll walk you out. As we headed for the door, Knox caught up with us. Amelia, wait. He pressed an envelope into my hands. Your father asked me to give you this, privately. I stared at the envelope, thick, cream-colored, with my name written in Dad's shaky handwriting. What is it? I asked. Knox glanced over his shoulder at Alicia, who was now surrounded by sympathetic mourners. Open it when you're alone. And Amelia? His eyes met mine. Your father was proud of you, more than you know. I clutched the envelope to my chest, next to my portfolio. Angelo squeezed my shoulder. Want me to drive you home? I shook my head. I need to walk, clear my head. Call me if you need anything, he said, while Reese nodded encouragingly behind him. Outside, the autumn air was crisp and clean. I could hear the murmur of voices through the funeral home's open windows, Alicia's laugh rising above the rest. My fingers traced the edges of the envelope. Whatever was inside, Dad had wanted me to have it. Not perfect Alicia, not our enabling mother, me. For the first time that day, I felt something other than shame and inadequacy. I felt curious, and maybe, just maybe, a little powerful. I took one last look at the funeral home, at the shadow of my sister moving behind the windows, and started walking. The envelope seemed to pulse with possibility in my hands, like a key waiting to unlock something I never knew I needed. Dad's final message to me. What secrets had he been keeping, and why had he chosen me to receive them? I picked up my pace, eager to get home and find out. My hands trembled as I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the envelope. 3 cups of tea had gone cold, and still I couldn't bring myself to open it. The sun had set, casting long shadows across my small apartment, when my phone buzzed. Did you open it yet? Angelo's voice was gentle but insistent. No. Want me to come over? I hesitated. Yes, no, maybe. I'll be there in 20 minutes. True to his word, Angelo arrived with a pizza and a determined look. He set it down and pulled up a chair beside me. Okay, enough stalling. Open it. I carefully broke the seal and pulled out several papers. On top was a handwritten letter. My dearest Amelia, I read aloud, my voice catching. If you're reading this, I'm gone, and Knox has fulfilled his promise to deliver this to you, and only you. Angelo leaned forward. Go on. There's a key taped to the back of this letter. It opens Safety Deposit Box 247 at First National downtown. What you'll find there will change everything. But before you go, you need to understand why I'm trusting you with this. I flipped the letter over. Sure enough, a small key was secured with clear tape. Your sister isn't who everyone thinks she is. Neither was I. Make things right, Butterfly. Butterfly? Angelo asked. Dad's nickname for me when I was little, before Alicia became the golden child. I set the letter down. What am I supposed to do with this? Obviously, you need to go to the bank. And walk into whatever mess Dad's dumping on me? No thanks. I've had enough family drama for one lifetime. I pushed the letter away. Angelo grabbed it before it could slide off the table. The man's dead, Amelia. If he wanted you to know something, don't you think you owe it to him to find out what? I owe him? Where was he when Alicia was destroying my art show opening? When Mom was telling everyone I was throwing my life away? Right here. Angelo tapped the letter, planning whatever this is, for you. My phone buzzed again. A text from Mom. Alicia's hosting a family dinner tomorrow. She expects you to attend and apologize for your behavior. I showed Angelo the message. He rolled his eyes. Perfect timing. What are you going to do? The bank opens at 9, I said, surprising myself. Want to come with me? Morning found us standing outside First National, watching employees file in. Angelo squeezed my hand. Ready? The bank manager, a woman named Patricia, led us to the vault area. I'm sorry for your loss, she said, checking my ID. Your father was a valued customer. The safety deposit box was larger than I expected. Patricia left us in a private viewing room, where I inserted the key with shaking hands. Holy shit, Angelo whispered as I lifted the lid. Inside were folders, USB drives, and what looked like medical records. The top folder was labeled Malpractice AS. AS, Angelo said. Alicia Santos? I opened the folder. Photos spilled out. Medical charts, internal hospital memos, and handwritten notes. My stomach churned as I read. This can't be right, I muttered, but each document confirmed the last. Alicia covered up a botched surgery. The patient, oh God, she ended up paralyzed. Ava Weaver, Angelo read over my shoulder. Age 28, routine procedure gone wrong. Dad knew, he knew, and I couldn't finish the sentence. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Mom. Alicia's waiting for your response about dinner. Angelo touched my arm. Amelia, you okay? I stared at the evidence in my hands. Perfect Alicia. Successful Alicia. The sister who could do no wrong. What am I supposed to do with this? My voice sounded hollow. Whatever you decide, Angelo said carefully. It needs to be for the right reasons, not revenge. Revenge? I laughed, but it came out more like a sob. Dad didn't give this to me for revenge. He wanted the truth to come out. Maybe, but he also knew it would hurt Alicia and your mom. Are you ready for that? I gathered everything back into the box, except for one folder. I need to think. Want me to drive you home? No. I clutched the folder to my chest. I need to do some research first. Find out who Ava Weaver is. Angelo frowned. Be careful, once you start down this road. I know. I managed a weak smile. But Dad called me Butterfly. Maybe it's time I caused a hurricane. As we left the bank, I texted Mom back. Tell Alicia I'll be at dinner tomorrow. We have a lot to talk about. The folder felt heavy in my bag, like it was made of lead instead of paper. But for the first time since Dad's death, maybe for the first time in years, I felt something else too. Purpose. Finding Ava wasn't hard. Her Instagram profile was filled with before and after photos. Before the surgery, standing on mountain peaks, running marathons. After, confined to a wheelchair, but still smiling in most shots. Her latest post showed her at a physical therapy session, caption reading, Day 847, still fighting. I sat in my car outside her apartment building, gripping the folder. A text from Angelo lit up my phone. Don't do anything stupid. Too late. I buzzed her apartment. Hello? Her voice was warm, curious. Hi, I'm Robert's daughter. Silence. Then, come up. Ava opened her door before I could knock. She wheeled back to let me in, her movements precise and practiced. I wondered if you'd ever find out. You knew my father? He visited me every month for the past year. She gestured to a photo on her wall, her and Dad at what looked like a cafe. He was gathering evidence. I pulled out the folder. About Alicia. Ava's face hardened. About your sister, yes, the brilliant Dr. Santos, who couldn't admit she made a mistake. She wheeled to her kitchen. Want some coffee? This might take a while. Over coffee, Ava told me everything. The routine spinal surgery, the error, the cover-up. She came to see me after, Ava said, hands wrapped around her mug. Offered me money to keep quiet. Said it would be better for everyone. Did you take it? I did. I was scared, in pain, and she made it sound like my only option. Ava's laugh was bitter. Your father found me 6 months later. He'd noticed discrepancies in the hospital records. My phone buzzed. Mom again. Dinner's at 7. Wear something nice. What are you going to do? Ava asked. I showed her the text. Have dinner with my sister, apparently. That's not what I meant. I know. I stood up, gathering the documents. Can I come back? Talk more? Ava nodded. Your father wanted justice, Amelia, not revenge. Remember that. I barely made it home in time to change. My black dress from yesterday wouldn't do. Alicia would see it as another slight. I chose a blue cocktail dress instead, one I'd bought for my gallery opening but never worn. Alicia's house was exactly what you'd expect. Modern, minimalist, perfect, like her. Mom's car was already in the driveway. You came. Alicia opened the door, martini in hand. And you're almost on time. Mom hurried over. Darling, you look presentable. Thanks, Mom. Really feeling the love. Alicia led us to her dining room. I thought we should clear the air after yesterday's unpleasantness. Unpleasantness? I set my bag down carefully, the folder inside feeling like a bomb. Is that what we're calling it? Amelia, Mom warned. No, let her speak. Alicia sipped her martini. I'm sure she has plenty to say about how unfair everything is. I thought of Ava, of her wheelchair, of Dad visiting her month after month. Actually, I wanted to ask you about a patient. Ava Weaver? The martini glass froze halfway to Alicia's lips. What? Ring any bells? Routine spinal surgery? About 2 years ago? Mom looked confused. Alicia, what's she talking about? Nothing. Alicia's voice was sharp. It's nothing. I pulled out the folder. Dad didn't think it was nothing. The color drained from Alicia's face. Where did you get that? Does it matter? What matters is what's inside. I opened it, laid out the photos, the documents. Want to tell Mom about it, or should I? Alicia? Mom picked up a photo. What is this? It's lies. Alicia stood up so fast her chair fell backward. Whatever Dad told you, whatever you think you know, I know you paralyzed a woman and paid her to keep quiet. My voice was steady, calmer than I felt. I know Dad found out and spent the last year of his life gathering evidence. Mom's hands were shaking. Tell me this isn't true. Of course it's not true. Alicia grabbed the folder. This is just Amelia trying to ruin everything, like always. No, I stood up too. This is me finally seeing you clearly, the perfect daughter, the brilliant surgeon. It's all a lie, isn't it? Alicia threw her martini glass. It shattered against the wall behind me, sending gin and glass everywhere. Get out! Gladly. I grabbed my bag. But this isn't over. Is that a threat? I thought of Ava's smile in her Instagram photos, of her determination to keep fighting. No, it's a promise. To Dad, to make things right. I left them there, Alicia screaming, Mom crying, the evidence scattered across the perfect dining room table like shrapnel from an explosion. Outside, I texted Angelo. It's done. No going back now. His response came quickly. You okay? I wasn't, but for the first time in my life, I knew exactly what I had to do. Angelo's backyard was my safe haven growing up, and nothing had changed. I sat on the old swing set while he grilled burgers, Reese bringing out plates and condiments. You should have seen her face, I said, pushing myself gently back and forth, like her whole world was cracking. Good, Reese muttered, arranging tomato slices. Angelo flipped a burger. Maybe not good. Complicated. How is it complicated? Reese demanded. She paralyzed someone and covered it up. Because, Angelo said, giving me a pointed look, there's always more to the story. I pulled out my phone, showing them Alicia's latest text. If you pursue this, I'll destroy you. Remember who Mom believes. Charming, Reese said. She's scared, Angelo noted, plating the burgers. People do desperate things when they're scared. Like paralyze someone and cover it up? I couldn't keep the bitterness from my voice. No, like visiting that someone every month for a year. He sat down across from me. Your dad, I mean. Why do you think he did that? I took a bite of my burger to avoid answering, but Angelo waited me out. Because he wanted justice for Ava, I finally said. Try again. Because he wanted to expose Alicia? One more time. I set my burger down. Because he wanted to understand. Bingo. Angelo leaned forward. Look, I've known your family since we were kids. Your dad wasn't a vindictive man. If he spent a year gathering evidence, it wasn't just to bring Alicia down. Then what was it for? That's what you need to find out. My phone buzzed again, a text from Knox. We need to talk. Come to my office tomorrow. The plot thickens, Reese said, reading over my shoulder. Knox knows something, I said. He has to. Dad trusted him with everything. Including that envelope, Angelo reminded me. Maybe it's time to ask why. The next morning, Knox's office felt colder than usual. He waited until his secretary brought coffee before speaking. Your father came to me about Ava's case 18 months ago, he said, sliding a file across his desk. He wanted legal advice. About prosecuting Alicia? About protecting her. I nearly dropped my coffee. Protecting her? From what? Knox opened the file. From herself, from your mother, from the impossible standards that drove her to cover up a mistake instead of admitting she was human. That's not an excuse. No, it's not, but it is context. He pulled out a letter. Your mother's expectations nearly destroyed both her daughters. One turned to art to escape. The other, well, turned to perfection. I finished. At any cost. Knox's eyes were sad. Your father blamed himself. He thought if he'd stood up to your mother sooner, protected you both better. So what? I stood up, pacing. I'm supposed to feel sorry for Alicia now? After everything? You're supposed to understand her. That's what your father wanted. Knox handed me the letter. Read this. It's from him to Alicia. He never sent it. I scanned the pages, my hands shaking. My dearest Alicia, I watched you become what your mother wanted, but lost who you were meant to be. Every achievement became a prison, every success a new bar to reach. I failed you by staying silent. I failed both my butterflies by letting her clip your wings. He called her butterfly too? My voice cracked. You both were, before the competition started. Knox took back the letter. Your father's last wish wasn't about revenge, Amelia. It was about healing. It's too late for that. Is it? You have the evidence. You could destroy her career, her reputation, or what? Or you could help her face what she did, help her become human again. Knox smiled slightly. Your father believed you were the only one strong enough to do it. I sat back down, remembering Alicia's face at dinner, the fear behind her anger. She threatened me. Of course she did. She's terrified. Question is, what are you going to do about it? My phone lit up. A message from Ava. Heard you confronted your sister. Can we talk? I showed Knox the message. He nodded. Seems like the universe is trying to tell you something. Standing to leave, I asked, why did Dad choose me for this? Because you're the only one who ever dared to be imperfect. Knox's voice was gentle. And sometimes, that's the strongest thing we can be. Outside, I texted Ava back. Yes, but first, I need to understand something. Tell me about my sister. Not the doctor who hurt you, the person she was before. The response came quickly. Come over. Your father told me stories. You should hear them. I took a deep breath, thinking of two little butterflies, wings not yet clipped. Maybe Knox was right. Maybe understanding was the first step toward healing. Or maybe I was about to make the biggest mistake of my life. She used to draw, Ava said, showing me a sketch on her phone. Your father shared this with me. Said Alicia drew it when she was 16. The sketch showed two girls on a swing set. Clearly Alicia and me. The detail was incredible. The joy in our expressions captured perfectly. I had no idea she could draw, I whispered. Your father said she stopped when she started pre-med. Said your mom made her choose. Ava wheeled to her desk, pulling out more photos. He visited me so often, told me so many stories. I think he needed someone to remember who Alicia used to be. Why you? Because I was angry, like you are now. She smiled sadly. He thought if he could help me understand her, maybe I could find peace. Did you? Getting there. Ava handed me a journal. Your father gave me this last month, said if anything happened to him, I should share it with you. The journal was filled with Dad's handwriting, documenting conversations with hospital staff, with Alicia's colleagues, with Mom. A pattern emerged, one of relentless pressure, impossible standards, and a young doctor cracking under the weight of perfection. She was sleep-deprived, I read aloud, working 36-hour shifts. Mom was bragging about it at church. Keep reading. Hospital review noted concerns about her mental state 3 weeks before my surgery. Administrator overruled because of her perfect record. Mother's influence on the board. My phone buzzed. Alicia calling. I declined it. She's been trying to reach you? Ava asked. Yeah, probably to threaten me more. Or maybe she's scared. Your father said fear was always her biggest motivator. Another buzz. A text this time. Please, we need to talk. Come to the hospital. She's at work, I told Ava. Wants me to meet her. Go. Ava took back the journal. But remember what your father learned. Understanding doesn't mean excusing. The hospital corridors felt sterile and oppressive. I found Alicia in her office, still in scrubs, looking exhausted. You came? She said, surprised. You asked. She closed the door. I performed 3 surgeries today. Perfect outcomes, all of them. Know what I thought about during each one? Ava? Her, every cut, every stitch. Alicia's hands trembled. I haven't made a mistake since her. Not one. Because I can't. Mom's on the board, everyone's watching, expecting perfection. Excellence, she spat the word. Mom's favorite. Excellence isn't optional, Alicia. Excellence is who we are. who she wanted us to be, I corrected. You escaped. Alicia's laugh was hollow. Chose art, chose freedom. I chose this. You chose to cover up a mistake instead of admitting you're human. I chose to protect everything I'd worked for. She slammed her hand on the desk. Do you know what Mom would have done if what? If you'd shown weakness? Join the club, Alicia. I've been a disappointment since day one. And you're stronger for it. She slumped in her chair. Dad knew. He tried to tell me, tried to help, but I couldn't listen, couldn't risk everything I'd built. Built on what? Lies? Fear? Built on excellence. Her voice cracked. Always excellence. My phone buzzed again. Angelo, you okay? I have to go, I said, standing. Wait. Alicia grabbed my arm. What are you going to do? With the evidence? I looked at her. Really looked at her. The perfect surgeon, the golden child, the sister who used to draw. All those versions of her, trapped in a prison of excellence. I don't know yet, I answered honestly, but Dad didn't give me those files for revenge. Then why? Maybe to help you break free, like I did. Her grip tightened. By destroying my career? By facing the truth, starting with Ava. I can't. Fear flashed across her face. Mom would never. Mom's not the one who has to live with it. You are. I gently removed her hand. Think about it, about who you were before excellence became your cage. I left her there, surrounded by her medical degrees and awards, all the trappings of perfection she'd sacrificed everything for. Outside, I texted Angelo. I'm okay, but I think I finally understand what Dad was trying to do. And what's that? I thought of the sketch Ava showed me, of two sisters on a swing set, both still free to fly. Save both his butterflies. I wrote back, not just one. My phone lit up one more time, Alicia again. I found my old sketchbook, the one Mom made me burn. Except, I didn't burn it. Dad helped me hide it. I think I need to show you something. I stared at the message, feeling something shift inside me. Maybe understanding wasn't just the first step toward healing. Maybe it was the first step toward freedom. The sketchbook lay between us on Alicia's kitchen table, its pages yellow with age. Neither of us had touched it yet. Dad kept it in his study, Alicia said, hands wrapped around her third cup of coffee, behind that awful painting Mom gave him. The hunting dogs? I almost smiled. He hated that thing. But Mom loved it, so up it went. Alicia reached for the sketchbook, then pulled back. I can't. Want me to? She nodded. The first sketch was of Mom, younger, laughing, an expression I barely recognized. Next came Dad in his garden, then me as a toddler, sleeping with my stuffed elephant. These are amazing, I whispered. They're nothing, just silly drawings. No, I turned another page. They're everything Mom tried to erase. Alicia flinched. My phone buzzed, a news alert. My heart stopped when I saw the headline, Prestigious Hospital Under Investigation. Anonymous source reveals malpractice cover-up. Alicia, she was already reading it on her own phone, face draining of color. No, no, no. I didn't do this, I said quickly. I swear. Then who? Her phone rang. Mom's name flashed on the screen. Don't answer it. I have to. She picked up. Mom? I could hear Mom's voice, shrill and panicked, through the speaker. Alicia put it on speakerphone. Disgraceful. The board is in emergency session. Tell me you can fix this. Mom, No excuses. You get to that hospital and handle this. Excellence isn't optional, Alicia. It's who we are. Alicia's hand trembled. I reached across the table and pressed the end call button. She's right, Alicia whispered. I have to go. Damage control. No. What? No more damage control. No more cover-ups. I opened my phone, showing her a new message from Ava. It wasn't me, but maybe it's time. She's right, I said. Maybe it's time to be human instead of excellent. Alicia's phone kept buzzing. Mom, the hospital, reporters. She stared at the sketchbook, at a drawing of herself as a teenager, paintbrush in hand, smile unguarded. I can't, she whispered. You can, we can. I pulled out Dad's letter from my bag. Read this. Dad wrote it before he died, but never sent it. She read silently, tears falling onto the paper. Her phone buzzed again. The hospital administrator. What do I do? Her voice was small, like when we were kids, and she'd ask me to check for monsters under her bed. We go to the hospital, together, and you tell the truth. Mom will never forgive me. Maybe, but you might finally forgive yourself. The hospital was swarming with reporters. We slipped in through a side entrance, but news had already spread. Staff members stared, whispered behind their hands. The boardroom was packed. Administrators, lawyers, Mom sitting front and center, face like thunder. Alicia, thank God. Tell them it's all lies. Show them your records, your perfect record. No, Mom. Alicia's voice was steady. No more lies. She walked to the front of the room. I stood beside her, hand on her shoulder. 2 years ago, I made a mistake during surgery. I was exhausted, overworked, trying to maintain impossible standards. She looked directly at Mom. I was afraid to admit I wasn't perfect, so I covered it up, and a woman named Ava paid the price. Stop talking, Mom hissed. Right now. The truth is, Alicia continued, I'm not excellent. I'm human, and humans make mistakes. The room erupted in chaos. Mom stormed out. Lawyers huddled in corners. My phone buzzed with a text from Knox. Your father would be proud, both of you. Hours later, after statements and meetings and preliminary agreements, we sat in Alicia's office one last time. She was packing her degrees into a box. Suspended pending investigation, she said. Could lose my license. Or you could get help. Prove you've changed. I picked up her old sketchbook. Maybe find other parts of yourself again. Like drawing? Like being human. Her phone lit up, Ava's number. We both stared at it. Answer it, I said. It's time. Alicia took a deep breath and picked up. Hello, Ava. Yes. I think we should meet. I have a lot to say, and even more to apologize for. When she hung up, something had changed in her face, like a weight had lifted, replaced by something else, something real. What now? She asked. Now? I opened the sketchbook to a blank page, pulled out a pencil from her desk. Now you start drawing again, start living again, start being yourself again. And Mom? Mom can learn to love an imperfect daughter. She's had practice with me. Alicia actually laughed, a real laugh, like in Dad's old photos. She took the pencil and for the first time in 20 years, began to draw. The cafe was Ava's choice, neutral ground, she'd said. Alicia sat across from her, hands wrapped around an untouched coffee. I sat between them, feeling like a mediator at a peace treaty. I've imagined this moment so many times, Ava said. What I'd say, what I'd do, but now? She gestured to the sketchbook on the table. Your father showed me your art, said it was who you really were. I'm not that person anymore, Alicia whispered. No, you're not. You're the doctor who paralyzed me, and the woman who tried to buy my silence. And now? Ava leaned forward. Now, who are you? I don't know. Not good enough. Ava's voice was steel. I spent 2 years learning who I am without the use of my legs. You can spend 5 minutes being honest about who you are without your perfect facade. My phone buzzed. Mom again. I'd been ignoring her calls since the hospital. She won't stop, Alicia said, noticing. She's been calling me too. Showed up at my house last night. What did she want? I asked. To tell me how I've ruined everything, how I've destroyed our family's reputation. Alicia's laugh was bitter. She brought a PR team. Of course she did, I turned to Ava. Our mother, she's part of why this happened. Not an excuse, but I know. Ava pulled out her phone, showed us a video. Mom at a charity gala, speaking about excellence, about her perfect daughter, the surgeon. Your father showed me these too. Said I needed to understand the whole story. Dad showed you a lot, Alicia said. He visited me every month, not just to gather evidence, but to help me heal, to help me understand. Ava put her phone away. He wanted me to forgive you. I don't deserve forgiveness. No, you don't, but I deserve peace. And maybe, Ava took a deep breath. Maybe that starts with understanding each other. The cafe door chimed. Mom walked in, spotted us, and froze. Oh, God, Alicia muttered. Mom approached our table, her heels clicking like warning shots. What is this? Alicia, the lawyer said no contact with— Sit down, Mom, I said. I will not. This is completely inappropriate. The liability— Sit down. Alicia's voice was quiet but firm. Meet Ava. Really meet her. Mom looked at Ava like she was a bomb about to explode. But slowly, she sat. Mrs. Douglas, Ava said coolly, your husband told me so much about you. Robert? What do you mean he? He visited me, showed me videos of you pushing Alicia to be perfect, showed me what that pressure did to her. Ava's eyes were sharp, showed me how it broke both your daughters in different ways. I never broke them. I made them strong. You made me afraid, Alicia cut in, afraid to be human, afraid to make mistakes, so afraid that when I did make one, I destroyed someone's life trying to hide it. And you made me feel worthless, I added, because I couldn't be your version of perfect. Mom's hands trembled. Everything I did was for you both. No. Alicia opened her sketchbook, showed Mom the old drawings. Everything you did was for you, for your reputation, your excellence. Look at them, Ava said quietly. Really look at your daughters, one hiding her true self until she broke, one forced to run away to find herself. Is that excellence? Mom stared at the sketches, moments of joy, of creativity, of imperfect beauty captured in pencil strokes. I didn't. She touched a drawing of us as children, all three of us in Dad's garden. I never meant to. We know, I said, but meaning to hurt someone and doing it anyway. That's something we all need to face. Alicia turned to Ava. I can't undo what I did, but I can stop hiding from it, stop pretending to be perfect. Good, Ava said, because I'm filing a formal complaint with the medical board, not for revenge, but because it's right, because other patients deserve to know the truth. I understand, Alicia whispered, and I'm testifying about the culture at the hospital, Ava continued, about the pressure, the cover-ups, the board's role. She looked at Mom. All of it. Mom stood up so fast her chair scraped back. I need to go. Running away won't fix this, I said. No. Mom straightened her jacket. But maybe I need to learn how to be imperfect too. After she left, Ava reached across the table and took Alicia's hand. Your father believed in second chances, not because we deserve them, but because we need them to become better. Alicia squeezed her hand, tears falling onto the sketchbook. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Ava released her hand. This is just the beginning. The hard part comes next. What's that? I asked. Learning to live with who we really are, Ava said. All of us. Ready? Angelo asked, helping me hang the last piece. The gallery walls were lined with artwork, my paintings interspersed with Alicia's sketches. In the center, a collaborative piece we'd created together, two butterflies emerging from their chrysalises, wings still wet but unfurling. Not really, I admitted, but that's okay. The medical board had suspended Alicia's license for 2 years, mandating therapy and supervision before she could practice again. She'd started volunteering at Ava's physical therapy center, not as a doctor, but as an art therapy assistant. The door chimed. Mom walked in, looking smaller somehow, without her usual armor of perfectionism. "It's beautiful," she said, studying the butterfly piece. "Both of you together." "That was Dad's dream," I said, "us working together instead of against each other." More people arrived: Knox, Reese, hospital staff, local artists, and Ava, wheeling in with a bright smile and a portfolio of her own photographs. "Where's Alicia?" Mom asked. "Here." My sister hurried in, carrying a wrapped canvas. "Sorry, last-minute changes." She set up the canvas on an easel, hands shaking slightly as she unveiled it. The painting showed 3 women, Mom, Alicia, and me, but not in our usual roles. Instead, we were in Dad's garden, dirt on our knees, laughing as we planted flowers. "It's not perfect," Alicia said. "The proportions are a bit off, and the lighting—" "It's real," Mom interrupted, touching the canvas gently. "That's better than perfect." Knox clinked his glass for attention. "If I could say a few words?" Robert left me a letter to read at this moment. The room quieted. I grabbed Alicia's hand. "My dearest daughters," Knox read, "if you're hearing this, you've finally found your way back to each other, not through excellence or perfection, but through truth and acceptance. My butterflies, free at last to spread your wings. And Linda?" Knox looked at Mom. "My love, free at last from the cage of expectations you built around our family. This gallery showing isn't just art, it's liberation, for all of you." Ava wheeled forward. "Speaking of liberation," she handed Alicia an envelope. "The board reviewed your case, given your honesty, the changes at the hospital, and your work at the therapy center." Alicia opened it with trembling fingers. "They're reducing the suspension? 6 months instead of 2 years? With conditions," Ava said, "including continuing your art therapy program. It's helping people, Alicia, not through perfect surgery, but through healing of a different kind." I watched Mom approach one of my paintings, an abstract piece expressing years of feeling inadequate. She stood there for a long time. "I did this," she finally said, "created so much pain trying to prevent it." "We all did," Alicia said, "but we're learning, growing." "Together," I added. The gallery filled with visitors. I watched Alicia proudly explaining her sketches, saw Mom actually listening to people's interpretations without trying to control the narrative. Even Knox seemed lighter, as if Dad's final mission was complete. "Hey!" Angelo appeared at my elbow. "Look who's here." In the doorway stood a group of Ava's physical therapy patients, including several who joined the art therapy program. They carried a large card signed by everyone at the center. "Your father would be proud," Knox said, joining us. "Not because you're perfect, but because you're authentically you." "Both of you," Mom added softly. Alicia and I exchanged glances. The butterfly piece between us caught the gallery lights, making the wings seem to shimmer with possibility. "I have something to show you," Alicia said. She led us to a small room off the main gallery. The walls were covered with new sketches, scenes from the therapy center, patients finding strength through art, moments of triumph and frustration captured in honest detail. In the center, a portrait of Dad in his garden, surrounded by butterflies. "He always believed in second chances," Alicia said, "in becoming who we're meant to be, not who we're told to be." "And who are you meant to be?" Ava asked from the doorway. Alicia looked at her sketches, at the healing they represented. "Someone who helps people heal. Through medicine when I can, through art when I can't, through truth always. And you? Mom turned to me. Someone who shows others it's okay to be imperfect. That beauty exists in the flaws. The gallery buzzed with life and conversation. Through the windows, I could see Dad's garden at home, the flowers he planted still blooming despite everything. To Dad, I said, raising my glass, who gave us the greatest gift? The courage to be imperfect, Alicia finished. The wisdom to be real, Mom added. The freedom to fly, Ava concluded. Outside, butterflies danced through Dad's garden, their wings catching the light. Not perfect, but beautiful. Just like us, just like he always knew we could be.
The note trembled in my hands as I read the words that would shatter my world. I'm so sorry, but Wayne and I are in love. Please try to understand. Gwen. My name is Heidi, and this is how my sister stole my husband. I stood in our kitchen, my kitchen now, I suppose, staring at Gwen's hastily scrawled handwriting on a post-it note, of all things. The coffee I'd been brewing dripped steadily into the pot, filling the room with a deceptively normal morning aroma. My phone buzzed. Naomi from work. Hey, you're usually here by now. Everything okay? They're gone, I managed to whisper. What? Who's gone? Heidi, you're scaring me. Wayne and Gwen, I couldn't finish the sentence. The note crumpled in my fist. I'm coming over. Don't move. 20 minutes later, Naomi burst through my front door. I hadn't even locked it after discovering the note. She found me still standing in the kitchen, now clutching Wayne's wedding ring. He'd left it on the counter next to Gwen's note. What happened? Naomi guided me to sit at the kitchen table. I handed her the note. Her eyes widened as she read it, then narrowed with fury. That little witch, your own sister? I should have seen it coming, I said, memories suddenly flooding back with horrible clarity. The late-night work meetings Wayne kept having. Gwen showing up here all the time to check on me when he was out. God, I'm such an idiot. Stop that right now, Naomi snapped. You're not the idiot here. My phone rang again. Mom's name flashed on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. She probably knows already, I said. Gwen always was her favorite. The phone rang again. And again. On the fourth call, I finally answered. Heidi, what did you do to make them leave? Mom's voice was shrill with accusation. My laugh came out hollow. What did I do? That's really your first question? Well, they must have had a reason. They're sleeping together, Mom. Your precious Gwen is sleeping with my husband. Silence crackled over the line. Then, oh dear. Is that all you have to say? Maybe if you hadn't been working so much. I hung up. Naomi reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I need to see their apartment, I said suddenly. Gwen's apartment. I have a key. Heidi, I don't think... But I was already grabbing my purse. Naomi followed me to my car, sliding into the passenger seat without argument. Gwen's apartment was empty. Not just empty, cleared out. They'd been planning this. How long had they been planning this? In Gwen's bedroom, all her clothes were gone. But there, on her dresser, was the silver locket I'd given her for her 25th birthday. The one with our childhood photo inside. She'd left it behind like it meant nothing. My phone buzzed with a text. Wayne. I'm sorry it had to be like this. We never meant to hurt you. I threw my phone against the wall so hard the screen cracked. They never meant to hurt me? I sank to the floor, my legs giving out. They never meant to... What did they think would happen? Naomi sat beside me, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. What do you need? I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. I need a lawyer, and I need to change the locks on my house, and I need... What? I need to know how to live in a world where my sister and my husband could do this to me. Naomi helped me to my feet. One step at a time. First, we're getting you out of here. Then, we're calling a locksmith. Then we're getting very, very drunk. As we left Gwen's apartment, I paused in the doorway. The locket still sat on the dresser, catching the morning light. For a moment, I considered taking it. It was mine, after all. I'd given it to her. But instead, I closed the door, leaving it behind just as they'd left me. In the car, another text came through on my cracked phone screen. Gwen this time. When you calm down, you'll understand. We couldn't help falling in love. I turned off my phone. They think I'll understand, I told Naomi as she drove. They think I'll forgive them. Will you? I watched the city scroll past my window, thinking of that silver locket sitting alone on the dresser, of Wayne's ring on my kitchen counter, of Gwen's childish handwriting on a yellow post-it note. Never, I said. And for the first time that morning, my voice didn't shake at all. 3 weeks after they left, I walked into work with my head held high and red lipstick perfectly applied. No one would see me break, not anymore. Someone's looking fierce today, Naomi said, falling into step beside me. New position still treating you well? I smiled, clutching my coffee cup. The promotion had come as a surprise. Apparently throwing yourself into work after your husband runs off with your sister can do wonders for productivity. Marketing director has a nice ring to it, I replied, unlocking my new office. The nameplate still made me pause. Heidi Hamilton, director of marketing. Speaking of rings, Naomi closed the door behind us. Did you finally call the divorce lawyer? I pulled a folder from my desk. Meeting him tomorrow. Found some interesting things in Wayne's old financial records. Do tell. Let's just say his successful investments weren't so successful. He's been hiding debt, lots of it. My phone buzzed. Mom again. I silenced it without looking. Still not talking to her? Naomi asked. Not until she stops trying to convince me to understand their perspective. Did you know she actually suggested I should have seen this coming because Gwen always looked up to me so much? That's messed up. A knock at my door interrupted us. Greg from IT stood there, holding a laptop. Hey, heard you were having trouble with the new software? My hero, I said, gesturing him in. It keeps crashing during presentations. As Greg worked on my laptop, I caught Naomi giving me a meaningful look. She'd been trying to convince me Greg was interested in more than just fixing my technical issues. All set, Greg said after a few minutes. Hey, a bunch of us are grabbing drinks after work. You should come, both of you. He added quickly, glancing at Naomi. Before I could make an excuse, Naomi jumped in. We'll be there. After Greg left, I glared at her. I'm not ready. It's drinks with coworkers, not a marriage proposal. You need to get out more. My phone buzzed again, a text this time. Gwen, Mom's really worried about you. Please call her. I deleted it without responding. Fine, I said to Naomi. 1 drink. 1 drink turned into 3, and I found myself actually laughing at Greg's terrible IT jokes. The bar was crowded enough to feel anonymous, but not so loud we couldn't talk. So then the client says, Have you tried turning it off and on again? Like I hadn't already. My phone lit up with a call, Wayne's number. The laughter died in my throat. Excuse me, I muttered, stepping outside. My finger hovered over the answer button before I forced myself to decline the call. A text followed immediately. Please pick up. We need to talk about the house. Everything okay? Greg had followed me out. Just my ex trying to weasel his way out of the mortgage, I said, pocketing my phone. Sorry about bailing on your story. No worries. Want to hear the ending over coffee sometime? I looked at him, really looked at him. Kind eyes, genuine smile, no wedding ring? 3 months ago, I would have said yes without hesitation. I'm not ready, I said honestly, but I appreciate the offer. He nodded, understanding. The offer stands, even just as friends. Back inside, Naomi was waiting with a concerned look. Wayne? And Gwen and Mom, the whole circus. Want to get out of here? I shook my head. Actually, I want another drink, and I want to hear the end of Greg's story. Later that night, as I unlocked my front door, another text came through, this time from an unknown number. You should know what your sister and ex-husband have been up to. Call me. Derek. I stared at the message, my finger hovering over delete. Instead, I saved the number. My house felt different now. Emptier, but somehow lighter. I'd redecorated, painted the walls, rearranged the furniture. No more family photos, no more wedding pictures. Just my space, my life. As I got ready for bed, my phone chimed one final time. Mom, I know you're hurt, but family is family. We need to talk about some things. There's more to this story than you know. I set my phone down without responding, but her words nagged at me. More to the story? What could possibly justify what they'd done? The old me would have called back immediately, desperate to understand, to fix things, to keep the peace. But I wasn't that person anymore. I turned off my phone, climbed into bed, and smiled at my ceiling. Tomorrow I had a divorce lawyer to meet, a presentation to nail, and a life to keep rebuilding. one day at a time. Let them keep their secrets. I was done trying to understand. The coffee shop was quiet when Mom walked in, exactly 15 minutes late. Some things never change. "You look thin," she said, sliding into the seat across from me. Her first words in over a month, and they're a criticism. "You wanted to talk, Mom, so talk." She fiddled with her purse strap. "I visited Gwen last weekend." "Of course you did." I started gathering my things. "Wait," she grabbed my wrist. "There are things you need to know about Gwen. About me." Something in her voice made me pause. "What things?" "When I was 28, she began, releasing my wrist. "I almost left your father for his best friend." I sat back down hard. "What?" "I was unhappy, felt trapped. Robert, your father's friend, he made me feel alive again." She twisted her wedding ring. "We planned to leave together, had it all arranged." "But you didn't." "No, I chose your father, chose family." She met my eyes. "I've spent 30 years wondering if I made the right choice." "Are you saying what Gwen did was right?" "No, I'm saying I understand the temptation, the desperation to escape." "Escape what? Her perfect life? Her doting family?" Mom's laugh was bitter. "Perfect. Heidi, you were always the golden child. Everything came easy to you. School, career, marriage. Gwen spent her whole life in your shadow." "That's ridiculous." "Is it? Who got into an Ivy League school? Who landed the perfect job straight out of college? Who married first, bought a house first, got promoted first?" "So this is my fault? For being successful?" "No, but..." She stopped as my phone buzzed. Derek's number again. "You should answer that," Mom said, nodding at my phone. I frowned. "How do you know about Derek?" "Because he's the reason Gwen and Wayne are falling apart." She pulled out her own phone, showing me a social media post. Gwen and a handsome stranger, Derek, I assumed, looking cozy at a restaurant. "When was this?" "Last week. Wayne doesn't know yet." I stared at the photo. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because you deserve to know the whole story. Wayne and Gwen. They're not happy. They're drowning in debt, fighting constantly. She's turning to Derek, Wayne's drinking. And I should care because? Because they're family. They stopped being family when they betrayed me." Several heads turned at my outburst. I lowered my voice. "You want to know what I think? I think you're trying to ease your own guilt by fixing this mess." "What guilt?" "For always favoring Gwen, for making excuses for her, for comparing us our whole lives." Mom's face crumpled. "I never meant..." "But you did, and now you're doing it again, trying to make me understand, to forgive." "Well, I don't understand, and I don't forgive. Not them, and maybe not you either." I stood up, but Mom's next words stopped me cold. "Wayne lost his job 3 months before they left." I slowly sat back down. "What?" "He was embezzling from his company, gambling debts. When they caught him, they gave him a choice: resign quietly or face charges." "That's impossible. He was still going to work every day. Pretending. Too ashamed to tell you. That's when he started spending more time with Gwen. She found out, tried to help him hide it from you." "And they fell in love?" I spat the words. "They fell into desperation. Made stupid choices. Terrible choices." She reached for my hand. This time I let her take it. "I'm not excusing what they did, but people in pain do painful things." My phone buzzed again. "Derek, your sister's not who you think she is. Neither is Wayne. Let me prove it." "What does Derek want?" Mom asked. "I don't know. I haven't called him." "Maybe you should. Maybe it's time you knew everything." I pulled my hand away. "Maybe I don't want to know everything. Maybe I'm tired of everyone else's drama becoming my problem." "Heidi, no, Mom. I'm done being the responsible one, the understanding one, the one who has to fix everything. Let them destroy each other. I'm building a new life, and they're not part of it." I stood up again, gathering my things. "Your father would want..." "Dad's gone, Mom. And so is the family we used to be." I shouldered my bag. "I'll see you at Christmas. Maybe." As I walked out, my phone buzzed one final time. A message from Gwen. "I need your help. Please. Everything's falling apart." I deleted it without reading further. Let it fall apart. I was done picking up their pieces. And that's why our new campaign will target millennials through experiential marketing, I concluded, clicking to my final slide. The boardroom sat in appreciative silence. Impressive work, Heidi, our CEO said, standing. Implementation starts next week. As people filed out, Greg caught my eye and gave me a thumbs up. Over the past few weeks, our coffee breaks had become a regular thing. Strictly platonic, but nice. Naomi burst into my office minutes later. You killed it. We need to celebrate. Actually, I said, checking my phone, I have plans. Hot date with Greg? I rolled my eyes. Pottery class. Pottery? Since when do you do pottery? Since I decided to try new things. I grabbed my bag. Want to come? She wrinkled her nose. And get clay under my nails? I'll pass. But dinner after? Deal. The pottery studio was peaceful, all warm lights and spinning wheels. I lost myself in shaping the clay, enjoying the simple satisfaction of creating something with my hands. That's coming along nicely, a voice said behind me. I turned to see Greg, wearing a clay-stained apron. Are you stalking me? He laughed. I've been coming here for years, never expected to see you here. I'm full of surprises. Clearly. He sat at the wheel next to mine. How are you doing? Really? I considered deflecting, but something in his expression made me answer honestly. Better. Some days I almost forget. Until Mom sends another guilt trip text, or Gwen leaves another desperate voicemail, or Derek. Who's Derek? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Speaking of the devil, another text from Derek. Your sister's playing both sides. Wayne knows about us now. Things are getting ugly. That's Derek, I said, showing Greg the message. Apparently he's involved with Gwen, even though she's with Wayne. Sounds messy? Everything about them is messy. I turned back to my pottery. I'm done with messy. Greg worked on his own piece quietly for a moment. You know, sometimes messy isn't all bad. Messy can lead to beautiful things. I looked at his perfectly formed bowl, then at my own lopsided attempt. Is that pottery wisdom or life wisdom? Both? He grinned. Hey, want to grab dinner after class? This time I didn't hesitate. Yes. Dinner was casual, just burgers at a local place, but comfortable. Greg told terrible IT jokes, and I found myself laughing genuinely. Then my phone rang. Wayne's number. You should answer it, Greg said gently, if only to tell him to stop calling. I took a deep breath and picked up. What do you want? Heidi, thank God. Wayne's voice was slurred. I messed up. Everything's messed up. You're drunk. Gwen's cheating on me. Can you believe it? After everything. I laughed, harsh and hollow. After everything? You mean after you two cheated on me? That was different. We were in love. Were? Silence on the line. Then, I don't know anymore. I don't know anything anymore. No. I cut him off. You don't get to need anything from me. Not anymore. I hung up, hands shaking. You okay? Greg asked softly. Actually, yes. I smiled, surprising myself. That felt good. My phone buzzed again. Gwen this time. Wayne's drinking again. I don't know what to do. I turned my phone off completely. Tell me about your worst IT disaster, I said to Greg. I need a good laugh. He launched into a story about a CEO who downloaded a virus from a spam email, and I felt something inside me relax. This was nice, simple, uncomplicated, fresh. Later, walking me to my car, Greg said, You know, there's an art festival this weekend, if you're interested. Are you asking me on a real date? Yes, unless you're not ready, then I'm asking as a friend. I thought about Wayne's drunken call, about Gwen's messages, about Mom's revelations. Then I thought about how peaceful the pottery studio had felt, how easy dinner had been. A real date sounds nice. His smile was worth it. At home, I finally turned my phone back on. 3 missed calls from Wayne, 2 from Gwen, 1 from Mom, and another text from Derek. They're both lying to you. Let me tell you the truth. I opened my pottery class photos instead, lumpy bowls and all. Greg had taken one of me concentrating at the wheel, clay up to my elbows, smiling. I set it as my new background photo, replacing the blank screen that had been there since I deleted all the family photos. Sometimes messy could lead to beautiful things indeed. The doorbell rang at 11:47 p.m. I wasn't asleep, I'd been curled up on the couch, reviewing presentations and texting Greg about our upcoming third date. Through the peephole, I saw them, Wayne and Gwen, looking desperate and disheveled. "Go away," I called through the door. "Please," Gwen's voice cracked. "We have nowhere else to go." "That sounds like a you problem." "Heidi," Wayne this time. "We lost everything. The bank took the car. We're being evicted. Please, just let us explain." "Explain what? How you betrayed me? How Derek scammed us out of every penny we had," Gwen interrupted. I froze, hand on the doorknob. "What? Please," she whispered. "It's freezing out here." Against my better judgment, I opened the door. They looked worse up close. Wayne hadn't shaved in days, and Gwen's designer clothes had been replaced by worn jeans and a faded sweater. 5 minutes, I said, leaving them standing in the entryway. "Talk." "Derek was Wayne's gambling buddy," Gwen started. "He convinced Wayne to invest in some scheme. After you lost your job for embezzling," I cut in. "Yeah, Mom told me." Wayne's face fell. "You know about that?" "I know everything. Well, almost everything. Still waiting to hear why you're on my doorstep at midnight." "Derek promised he could help us double our money," Wayne said. "Said he had insider information about some investments. We were desperate." "So you gave him all your money?" I laughed bitterly. "Brilliant. Not just our money," Gwen whispered. "We took out loans, multiple loans. And let me guess, Derek disappeared? With everything." Wayne slumped against the wall. "The investment was fake. He played us." "Like you played me?" The words shot out before I could stop them. Gwen flinched. "We deserve that. We deserve all of it, but Heidi, please." "Please what? Take you in? Give you money? Forgive you?" "Just help us figure out what to do," Wayne said. "You always know what to do." "Not anymore. Not for you." My phone buzzed. "Greg." "Still up? Just finished that movie you recommended." "Who's that?" Gwen asked, peering at my phone. I turned it away. "None of your business. Your 5 minutes are up." "Mom said you're doing well," Gwen tried. "New promotion, new friends." "Don't." I held up my hand. "Don't try to manipulate me. Don't pretend you care about my life now." "We do care," Wayne insisted. "We never meant to hurt me. Funny how everyone who betrays me never means to hurt me." I opened the front door. "Get out." "Heidi, please," Gwen was crying now. "You're my sister." "No, you gave up that right when you left that post-it note on my counter, when you took my husband and ran away without even looking back." "We can't sleep in the car again," Wayne said quietly. "Again? How long have you been living in your car?" 3 days, Gwen admitted, "since the eviction." My phone buzzed again. Mom this time. "They came to see you, didn't they? Please help them. They've learned their lesson." "Unbelievable," I muttered. "She knew you were coming here." "She suggested it," Wayne said. "Said you'd forgive us eventually." "Well, she was wrong." I held the door wider. "There's a motel 6 blocks south. That's all the help you're getting from me." "We don't have money for a motel," Gwen whispered. I went to my purse, pulled out 2 20s. "Here, one night. Tomorrow you figure out your own lives, just like I had to." They stared at the money, but neither moved to take it. "It's this or nothing," I said. Wayne reached for the bills, but I pulled them back. "One condition. You tell me everything about Derek, the whole truth." They exchanged glances. "There's more, isn't there?" I asked. "More than just a scam?" "So much more," Gwen said, "but you won't like it." I already don't like any of this. Another text buzz. Greg again. "Sweet dreams. Looking forward to Saturday." Looking at my phone, then at the broken couple in my doorway, I made a decision. Take the money. Go to the motel. Tomorrow at noon, meet me at the coffee shop on 5th. Tell me everything then. I held out the bills. "But this is it. After tomorrow, we're done. Forever." Wayne took the money, his hands shaking. Gwen moved to hug me, but I stepped back. "Noon tomorrow," I repeated. "Don't be late." I closed the door on their faces, then leaned against it, listening to their footsteps fade. My phone buzzed one final time. "Derek. They came to see you, didn't they? Don't believe a word they say. Meet me instead. I'll tell you what really happened." I stared at the message, wondering just how deep this rabbit hole went. The coffee shop buzzed with late morning activity as I waited. I'd arrived early, choosing a corner table with a clear view of both entrances. "Mind if I join you?" I looked up to find Derek standing there, tall, well-dressed, nothing like the sleazy con man I'd imagined. "How did you know I'd be here?" He sat down uninvited. "I know a lot of things, like how your sister and ex-husband spent the night at the Motel 6 on your dime. Are you following them?" "Following you, actually." He smiled, all charm. "For your protection." "That's creepy." "What's creepy is how they're trying to manipulate you again." He leaned forward. "Did they tell you about the money?" "Their gambling debts?" "Yes." "No, your money. The money Wayne stole from your joint accounts before they left." My coffee cup froze halfway to my mouth. "What?" "Check your old statements. The withdrawals started 3 months before they ran off together. Small amounts at first, then bigger ones." My hands shook as I pulled up my banking app. There they were, dozens of withdrawals I'd never noticed. Too busy trusting my husband to manage our finances. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because they're going to ask you for money today. They'll spin some sob story about how I scammed them, but the truth is..." The door chimed. Wayne and Gwen walked in, stopping short when they saw Derek. "You," Wayne snarled, moving toward our table. "Careful," Derek said smoothly. "Scene like that might get the police involved. Sure you want that, considering your history?" Wayne paled. Gwen grabbed his arm. "Sit down," I commanded. "All of you. Time for the truth." They arranged themselves awkwardly around the table. Wayne and Gwen on one side, Derek on the other, me at the head like a judge presiding over a trial. "Start talking," I said, "about the money you stole from me." Wayne's face crumpled. "I can explain." "He was trying to win it back," Gwen cut in. "The money he took from his company. He thought if he could just get ahead..." "Using my money?" "Using our money," Wayne corrected. "We were married." "We're being the operative word." I turned to Derek. "And your role in all this?" I tried to stop him. Derek spread his hands innocently. Warned him the games were rigged, the investments were fake, but he wouldn't listen. "Liar," Wayne half rose. "You set the whole thing up. Did I force you to embezzle from your company? To steal from your wife? To run off with her sister?" "Stop it," Gwen whispered. "Please, all of you." "Why?" I asked her. "Isn't this what you wanted? Drama, excitement, breaking all the rules?" "I wanted to help him," she said. "Wayne was spiraling, and you were so busy with work. Don't you dare blame this on me." "The blame game's pointless," Derek interjected. "What matters is what happens next. They want your money, Heidi. That's all this is." "That's not true," Gwen protested. "We just need..." "My help?" I laughed. "Like I needed yours when my husband and sister betrayed me?" "I can prove everything," Derek said. "Show you exactly how they planned it all." Wayne lunged across the table, grabbing Derek's collar. Coffee cups crashed to the floor. "Wayne, stop!" Gwen cried. The cafe manager appeared. "Everything okay here?" I stood up. "No, it's not. These people were just leaving." "Heidi, please." Gwen reached for my hand. I pulled away. "You know what I realized? You're all exactly what you deserve. Wayne, the gambling addict who lost everything. Gwen, the sister who thought she could do better than me, only to end up worse. And Derek," I turned to him, "the con man who got conned himself, falling for my sister while trying to scam my ex-husband." His smooth expression cracked. "How did you..." "Those photos Mom showed me, the way you look at her. You're not here to help me. You're here because you're jealous of Wayne." The manager cleared his throat. "I'm calling the police." "Don't bother," I said, gathering my things. "I'm done here, with all of them." "What about us?" Gwen asked desperately. "We're still family." "No, we're just people who used to know each other." I headed for the door, then paused. "Oh, and Wayne, I'm pressing charges for the stolen money. Expect to hear from my lawyer." I walked out into the sunshine, leaving them with their broken relationships and shattered lives. My phone buzzed. "Greg, still on for tonight?" I smiled, typing back, "Absolutely, I could use some normal." Behind me, I heard raised voices from the cafe. Let them fight it out. I had a life to live. The knock on my office door came just as I was finishing a client call. Through the glass, I saw all three of them, Wayne, Gwen, and Derek. "Security's on their way," Naomi said, appearing beside me. "Want me to stall them?" I shook my head. "Let them in. Time to end this." They filed in like chastened schoolchildren, looking worse than at the coffee shop. Gwen's mascara was smeared, Wayne's shirt was wrinkled, and Derek's usual swagger was gone. "You have 5 minutes," I said, not offering them seats. "Make it count." "The police are investigating Derek," Gwen blurted out, "for fraud." "And this concerns me how?" "Because," Derek stepped forward, "I can make it all go away. The fraud charges, Wayne's embezzlement, everything. One phone call." I raised an eyebrow. "In exchange for?" "Drop the charges against Wayne for stealing your money. Help them get back on their feet." "Why do you care?" His eyes flicked to Gwen. "Ah, you really did fall for her, didn't you?" I laughed. "The con man got his heart stolen." "This isn't funny," Wayne growled. "We're facing real jail time." "Should have thought of that before stealing from me and your company, and probably others I don't know about." "I'm pregnant," Gwen whispered. The room went silent. Wayne's head snapped toward her. Derek's face drained of color. "Is it?" Wayne started. "I don't know," she said, tears falling. "I don't know anything anymore." I sat down heavily in my chair. "When?" 8 weeks. She looked at me pleadingly. "I can't have a baby in jail, Heidi. Please." "That's low, even for you," I said. "Using a baby to manipulate me?" "It's the truth." She pulled out a sonogram photo. "I'm keeping it no matter what. But I need help. We all do." "We?" I looked between the three of them. "What exactly is your plan here? Raise the baby together? One big happy family?" Security appeared at my door. I waved them off. "Not yet." "I love her," Derek said quietly. "Despite everything, I'll take care of her and the baby." Wayne lunged at him. This time I let security intervene. "Stop," Gwen screamed. "Just stop. I don't want either of you." The security guards held Wayne back as Derek stepped away. "What do you want, Gwen?" I asked. "Really?" "I want to go back," she sobbed. "Before all this, when you were my sister and I wasn't such a horrible person. We can't go back. Then help me go forward. Please, for the baby's sake." My phone buzzed. "Greg, still meeting your mom for dinner tonight?" I looked at the text, then at the mess of people in front of me. My sister, pregnant and crying. My ex-husband restrained by security. The con man who fell for his own mark. "Here's what's going to happen," I said, standing. "Wayne, the charges stand. You stole from me, you face the consequences. Derek, whatever deal you're offering, take it to the police. I'm not getting involved." "And me?" Gwen asked softly. I took a deep breath. "Mom's spare room is available. She's been begging to help. Go there, get your life together, have your baby. But don't expect me to play happy family." "You'd do that? Help me after everything?" "I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for that baby, who deserves a chance at a normal life." I turned to security. "Please escort Mr. Fisher and Mr. Jackson out of the building." As they led Wayne and Derek away, Gwen lingered. "The baby could use an aunt," she said hesitantly. "Don't push it." I handed her back the sonogram. "Go to Mom's, get help. But understand this, we're not friends. We're not close sisters anymore. We're just people who share DNA." She nodded, clutching the photo. "I really am sorry, you know." "I know, but sorry doesn't fix everything." After she left, Naomi poked her head in. "You okay?" "Actually, yes." I checked my phone again. "Tell Greg I'll be late for dinner. I need to call Mom first." "You're really going to help Gwen?" "I'm going to let Mom help Gwen. There's a difference." I started gathering my things. Sometimes the best revenge is letting people face their consequences while you live your best life. Speaking of best life, Greg asked me if you like diamonds. I threw a pen at her. Don't even start. But as I left the office, I couldn't help smiling. Let them sort out their messy lives. I had a dinner date to get to and a future that was finally completely my own. "Ready for this?" Greg squeezed my hand as we walked up Mom's driveway for Sunday dinner. "Define ready," I said, eyeing the 2 extra cars parked outside. Gwen was here, obviously. She'd been living with Mom through her pregnancy. But the second car was new. Mom opened the door before we could knock. "Heidi and Greg, so good to see you both." The house smelled like pot roast and fresh paint. Mom had been redecorating, turning the guest room into a nursery despite my warnings not to get too invested. In the living room, Gwen sat on the couch, her 7-month belly prominent under a flowing dress. Next to her was a woman I didn't recognize. "This is Rachel," Mom said, "Wayne's sister." I stiffened. Greg's hand found the small of my back, steadying me. "Before you leave," Rachel said quickly, "I wanted to thank you for not pressing charges against Wayne." "I didn't drop the charges," I said. "He took a plea deal. Still, 3 years is better than 10. She twisted her hands together. "He's getting help in there. Real help, finally." "Good for him." I meant it to sound sarcastic, but it came out sincere. "And Derek?" Greg asked, guiding me to sit across from Gwen. "Witness protection," Gwen said quietly. "Turns out he had evidence against some pretty dangerous people. That's why he was so desperate to make deals." "Are you—" I hesitated. "Are you okay? About him?" She rubbed her belly absently. "I didn't love him. I didn't love Wayne either, not really. I think I just loved the idea of having something that was yours." "Dinner's ready," Mom called from the kitchen, breaking the tension. Around the dinner table, Rachel shared updates about Wayne's progress in prison, anger management, gambling addiction therapy, job training. Gwen talked about her part-time job at the library and her prenatal classes. Mom beamed at everyone like her family was finally healing. "Oh," Gwen suddenly grabbed her stomach. "She's kicking. Want to feel?" I hesitated. "It's okay if you don't," she said. I know we're not." "May I?" Greg asked, surprising everyone. Gwen nodded. He placed his hand on her belly, grinning when he felt movement. "That's amazing," he said. "Heidi, you really should—" I looked at my sister. Really looked at her. The designer clothes were gone, replaced by simple maternity wear. Her face was clearer, calmer. She met my eyes steadily. No manipulation, no desperation. Slowly, I reached out and placed my hand beside Greg's. The baby kicked. "She does that a lot," Gwen said, "especially when she hears voices. I've been reading to her." "What are you going to name her?" I found myself asking. I was thinking, Patricia, after Mom. Mom burst into tears, which made Rachel tear up, which had Gwen sniffling. "Good Lord," I muttered, but I was smiling. After dinner, Greg and I helped with dishes while Rachel and Gwen went for a walk. Doctor's orders for gentle exercise. "You know," Mom said, handing me a plate to dry. "I was wrong before." "About what?" "When I said I regretted staying with your father instead of running away. I was wrong. The hard choice was the right choice." I thought about Wayne in prison, Derek in witness protection, and Gwen living in Mom's spare room. About how taking the easy way out had cost them everything. "I have something for you," Mom continued, pulling an envelope from her pocket. "Found it while cleaning out the nursery. Inside was the silver locket I'd given Gwen years ago, the one she'd left behind in her apartment." "She wants you to have it back," Mom said. "Says she hasn't earned the right to keep it." I opened the locket, expecting our childhood photo. Instead, there was a tiny sonogram picture. "She's not asking to be your best friend again," Mom said softly. "Just to be in your life. Somehow. Any way you'll allow." Greg appeared with more dishes. "Everything okay?" I closed the locket, slipping it into my pocket. "Yeah, everything's evolving." Later that night at home, Greg asked, "Do you regret not getting revenge when you had the chance?" I thought about Wayne facing his consequences in prison, about Derek losing everything he'd schemed for, about Gwen, stripped of her pretenses, finally growing up. "Living well really is the best revenge," I said. "Besides, I got something better than revenge." "What's that?" I pulled him close, kissing him softly. "A future I chose, a life that's authentically mine, and—" I touched the locket in my pocket. Maybe a chance to be an aunt, eventually, on my own terms. "You're amazing, you know that?" "I do know that," I said. Finally. Outside, the spring evening was warm and full of promise. Inside, I was exactly where I needed to be.
The acrid smell of smoke still clings to my fingers as I hold what remains of my mother's copy of Pride and Prejudice. Nothing but charred edges and ash-stained pages that crumble at my touch. My hands are trembling, and I can barely breathe through the tightness in my chest. My name is Skylar, and until today, I thought I knew what it meant to lose something precious. When Mom died 2 years ago, I inherited her collection of vintage novels, leather-bound treasures that still carried the scent of her perfume. Now they're gone, destroyed in what my sister Reagan claims was just an accident. I was just trying to clear some space in the attic, she says, standing in the doorway with that familiar look of defensive indifference. The candle must have tipped over when I was moving boxes. A candle? I whirl around, my voice cracking. Who uses candles in an attic full of books? The power was out, Sky. What was I supposed to do? Wait, use your phone? Literally anything else? I'm shouting now, and I don't care who hears. These were Mom's books, Reagan, her entire collection. First editions, annotations, everything. My fiancé Gerald appears behind Reagan, probably drawn by the commotion. Everything okay up here? I smelled smoke. No, I cut him off. Everything is not okay. Reagan just burned Mom's entire library. Reagan's face flushes. It wasn't intentional. God, you always do this. Act like I'm some kind of monster who what? Who destroys the only things we had left of her? I thrust the ruined book toward her. Look at this. Look what you did. Skylar. Gerald steps between us, his voice calm but firm. Maybe we should take a break. Get some air. I don't need air. I snap, pushing past them both. I need my mother's books back, but that's not possible now, is it? I storm down to the kitchen, where my best friend Nicole is still setting up for what was supposed to be a casual Sunday brunch. Her eyes widen as I enter, probably noticing the soot on my clothes and the wild look I must have in my eyes. What happened? She asks, abandoning the mimosa she was mixing. Reagan happened. I grab a glass of water, my hands still shaking. She burned them, Nick. All of Mom's books, every single one. What? How? A candle. I laugh, but it comes out more like a sob. She brought a lit candle into the attic. Who does that? Nicole reaches for my hand, but I pull away. I can't handle sympathy right now. It feels too much like acceptance, and I refuse to accept this. Maybe some can be salvaged, she suggests gently. We could try to— You don't understand, I interrupt, my voice breaking. These weren't just books. They were everything. Mom's notes in the margins, her thoughts, her dreams, the little pressed flowers she kept between pages, the letter she wrote me on my 16th birthday, tucked into Jane Eyre. All of it. Just gone. Reagan appears in the doorway, her artistic hands twisted together nervously. Sky, please. I said I was sorry. I'll replace them. Replace them? The laugh that escapes me is harsh, bitter. These were first editions, Reagan. Mom collected them for 30 years. You can't just pop down to Barnes & Noble and replace them. I know that, but nothing. I meet her eyes, and for the first time in my life, I feel something dark and unfamiliar stirring in my chest. You know what? Just go. Go back to your apartment. Go back to your art. Go wherever you want. Just get out of my sight. Skylar, Gerald warns, but I ignore him. Reagan's face hardens, that familiar mask of indifference sliding back into place. Fine. Call me when you're done being dramatic. She turns and leaves, her footsteps echoing through the house we grew up in. The house that suddenly feels too empty and too full at the same time. Nicole touches my arm. She didn't mean to. Don't. I shake my head, staring at the ashes still clinging to my hands. Just don't. I look down at the ruined book again, at the barely legible inscription on the inside cover. To my darling girls, may you find yourselves in these pages as I have. Love, Mom. Something shifts inside me, something cold and determined. Reagan has always been careless with the things that matter to me, always skating by with half-hearted apologies and claims of innocence. But this time is different. This time, she's destroyed something irreplaceable, and as I stand there, surrounded by the people who love me, all I can think about is how to make her understand exactly what that feels like. You can't seriously be thinking about revenge, Nicole says, stirring her coffee as we sit in her kitchen the next morning. That's not you, Sky. I haven't slept. The smell of smoke seems permanently lodged in my nostrils, and every time I close my eyes, I see Mom's books turning to ash. Maybe it's time it was me. Have you tried calling Reagan? Maybe if you both just... I did call her. I cut in, my voice sharp. Want to know what she said? She told me I was being melodramatic and that they're just books. Nicole winces. Okay, that's not great. Not great? I slam my mug down, coffee sloshing over the rim. She destroyed the last connection I had to Mom, and she can't even acknowledge how much it matters. What about her art portfolio? Nicole asks carefully. You know, the one she's been working on for that gallery submission? My hand freezes halfway to wiping up the spilled coffee. What about it? Sky. Nicole's voice carries a warning. Don't. But I'm already thinking about it. Reagan's portfolio. Her precious collection of original artwork that she's been cultivating for years. The one she needs for her upcoming gallery submission. The opportunity she won't shut up about. She keeps it in her studio apartment. I say, more to myself than Nicole. Right next to her easel. Skylar, listen to yourself. Nicole reaches across the table, grabbing my hand. This isn't going to make you feel better. My phone buzzes. A text from Reagan. Hope you're done with your tantrum. BTW found some pages that might be salvageable. Want them? The casual tone, the dismissiveness, it makes my blood boil. I stand up abruptly, grabbing my keys. Where are you going? Nicole asks, though I can tell from her face she already knows. Reagan has spare keys to my house. I have spare keys to her apartment. Don't do this, Nicole pleads. At least talk to Gerald first. Gerald will try to talk me out of it, I say, already heading for the door. Just like you are. Because we love you, she calls after me. Because this isn't who you are. But maybe it is. Maybe this is exactly who I become when someone destroys something irreplaceable. I drive to Reagan's apartment building, my hands steady on the wheel despite the chaos in my mind. The spare key slides into her lock like destiny. Her apartment smells like paint and coffee, that artistic mess she's always been so proud of. The portfolio sits exactly where I knew it would be, leather-bound and pristine beside her workspace. I pick it up, feeling its weight. Years of work, countless hours of dedication, her ticket to the career she's always wanted. My phone rings. It's Gerald. Nicole called me, he says when I answer. Where are you? Running errands. Skylar. His voice softens. Baby, I know you're hurting, but whatever you're thinking of doing... She didn't just destroy books, Gerald. I interrupt, my voice trembling. She destroyed memories. Notes Mom wrote to us. The margin comments she made when she was going through chemo. The bookmark I made her in 3rd grade that she kept in Little Women for 20 years. I know, he says gently. But, no buts. She needs to understand what it feels like. I hang up before he can respond, then turn my phone off completely. The portfolio feels heavy in my hands as I carry it to Reagan's small balcony. There's a metal trash can out here where she burns her failed sketches. How fitting. I'm about to open the portfolio when I hear keys in the door. My heart stops. Hello? Reagan's voice calls out. Someone here? I freeze, portfolio in hand, caught between fight and flight. She appears in the doorway to the balcony, and time seems to stop. Her eyes move from my face to the portfolio in my hands, and I watch understanding dawn in her expression. Don't, she whispers, all her usual bravado gone. Skylar, please, that's my whole future. My books were my whole past, I reply, my voice steady despite the trembling in my chest. I said I was sorry. No, I correct her. You said I was being dramatic. You said they were just books. Because I didn't know what else to say. She takes a step forward, hands raised like she's approaching a wild animal. I felt so horrible. I couldn't face how badly I'd screwed up. Please, Unsky, don't do this. For a moment, I waver. Then I remember the ashes, the lost memories. Mom's handwriting turned to dust. Maybe you should have thought about consequences before you brought a candle into an attic full of irreplaceable books. I open the portfolio, and Reagan makes a sound I've never heard before, something between a gasp and a sob. Sky, she pleads one last time. Don't. But I'm already reaching for the matches she keeps by her trash can, my hands steady, my heart thundering in my chest. The match flares to life between my fingers, its small flame dancing in the afternoon breeze. Reagan lunges forward, but I step back, holding her portfolio over the trash can. Stay back, I warn, my voice surprisingly calm. Those pieces took me years, she says, tears streaming down her face. Please, just look at them first. Just look. Maybe it's the desperation in her voice, or maybe it's my own curiosity, but I find myself opening the portfolio. The first piece catches me off guard. It's a watercolor of Mom in her garden, laughing as she tends to her roses. The detail is incredible. Reagan even captured the small scar on Mom's hand from when she fell off her bike as a kid. When did you paint this? I ask, my voice barely a whisper. Last year. I used that old photo from the summer before. She doesn't finish the sentence. She doesn't have to. I flip to the next page, the match burning closer to my fingers. It's a series of sketches. Mom reading in her favorite armchair, surrounded by her beloved books. My throat tightens. You never showed me these. I was going to, Reagan says, taking a cautious step forward. I wanted them to be perfect first. The gallery submission. It's for a special exhibition. Legacy is the theme. The match burns my fingers and I drop it, letting it extinguish on the concrete. Reagan flinches but doesn't move. I turn another page and freeze. It's me, sitting cross-legged on Mom's hospital bed, reading Pride and Prejudice aloud while Mom sleeps. The details are painful in their accuracy. The dark circles under my eyes. The way Mom's hand rests on top of mine. The IV line snaking across the page. I sketched that from memory. Reagan says quietly. That last week, when you practically lived at the hospital, I'd come in the evenings and find you reading to her, even when she was too tired to stay awake. My hands start shaking. Stop it. The books weren't just your connection to Mom, Sky. I saw how much they meant to you both. That's why... She chokes back a sob. That's why I started this project. I wanted to capture those moments, preserve them somehow. I pull out another piece. This one's different. It's the beginning of what looks like a children's book, with whimsical illustrations of two little girls discovering magic in their mother's library. What's this? Reagan's voice gets even quieter. I found Mom's old journal in one of the books before the accident. She'd written down story ideas, little tales about two sisters who found adventure in books. I thought maybe we could bring them to life. The matchbook falls from my other hand. You were going to tell me about this when? At the gallery opening. I wanted it to be a surprise. I thought maybe we could work on it together, make it into something real. I looked down at the portfolio in my hands, really seeing it now. It's not just Reagan's art. It's our mother's legacy, transformed through her daughter's eyes. And I was about to destroy it. Just like... Oh God. I whisper, suddenly feeling sick. I was going to... But you didn't. Reagan says, finally closing the distance between us. She gently takes the portfolio from my hands. You stopped. You looked. That's more than I did with the books. I just rushed in, thinking I knew better, not even considering. I wanted to hurt you, I admit, my voice breaking. I wanted you to feel what I felt. I know. She sets the portfolio aside and, to my surprise, pulls me into a hug. I deserve it. What I did, it wasn't just careless, it was cruel. Even if I didn't mean it to be. I stand stiff in her embrace for a moment before collapsing against her, tears finally breaking free. I miss her so much. Me too, she whispers, her own tears falling into my hair. Every day. We stay like that for a long time. crying together on her balcony while the afternoon sun casts long shadows around us. Finally, I pull back, wiping my eyes. "Show me more?" I ask, gesturing to the portfolio. "The children's book especially. I want to see what Mom was thinking." Reagan's face lights up with cautious hope. "Really? You'd want to work on it together?" "Maybe," I say, surprising myself with how much I mean it. "But first, you have to tell me everything you remember about Mom's notes. Every single detail." "I will," she promises. "But Sky, I really am sorry about the books. I know sorry doesn't fix it, but—" "No," I interrupt. "It doesn't fix it. And we're going to have to talk about that. Really talk about it. But right now." I pick up the children's book sketches again, studying the joyful faces of the two sisters on the page. "Right now, I want to hear about this story." "The Adventures of the Book Sisters," I read aloud from Reagan's preliminary sketches. We're sitting on her living room floor, surrounded by art supplies and coffee mugs. "That was Mom's working title?" "Yeah," Reagan says, pulling out more sketches. "Look at this part. It's based on that time you convinced me there was a fairy living in the library's reference section." The illustration shows two girls, unmistakably us, peering behind encyclopedias with flashlights. The detail is incredible, right down to my missing front tooth and Reagan's unruly pigtails. My phone buzzes again. Probably Gerald or Nicole checking in, but I ignore it. "Here's the weird thing," Reagan continues, pulling out a weathered notebook. "I found this in Mom's copy of Little Women right before—" She swallows hard. "Well, you know, it's full of story notes, but look at the date." I take the notebook, my heart catching at Mom's familiar handwriting. The date shows 2 weeks before she died. "She was writing this in the hospital?" Reagan nods. "Between treatments, the nurses said it kept her focused, gave her something to look forward to." I flip through the pages, each one filled with story ideas and character notes. "Why didn't you tell me about this sooner?" "I wanted to illustrate it first. Make it perfect. I thought—" She hesitates. "I thought maybe it could heal something between us. We've been so distant since Mom died." Before I can respond, there's a knock at the door. Reagan opens it to find Nicole and Gerald standing there, both looking worried. "You weren't answering your phones," Gerald says, stepping inside. His eyes dart between Reagan and me, clearly checking for signs of warfare. Nicole follows, her gaze landing on the portfolio and matches still sitting on the balcony. "Oh God, did you—" "No," I interrupt. "I didn't." I hold up Mom's notebook. "But I found something else instead." They join us on the floor as Reagan and I explain about Mom's secret project. Nicole picks up one of the sketches, her eyes widening. "This is incredible, Reagan. The way you've captured your mom's spirit." "Show them the scene with the magical bookshelf," I suggest, surprising myself with my enthusiasm. As Reagan flips through her artwork, Gerald squeezes my hand. "You okay?" he whispers. "Not really," I admit quietly. "But maybe getting there." "Wait," Nicole interrupts, pointing at something in Mom's notebook. "What's this part about a hidden dedication?" Reagan freezes. "Oh, that's nothing." But I've already snatched the notebook, reading the passage Nicole pointed out. My hands start shaking. "To my Skylar," I read aloud, "who taught her little sister to love stories as much as I do. You were always the keeper of our family's tales, my darling girl. I hope this book shows you how much that meant to me." The room goes silent. I look up at Reagan, who won't meet my eyes. "You knew about this dedication?" My voice comes out harder than I intended. "All this time? I found it the day before the accident," Reagan admits. "I was going to show you, but then I got caught up trying to clear space in the attic for my art supplies, and the candle—" She trails off, tears forming in her eyes. "So you knew exactly what those books meant to me when you burned them." The earlier piece evaporates like smoke. "You knew Mom had left me a message, and you still—" "It wasn't on purpose." Reagan stands up, knocking over her coffee. "God, Sky, do you really think I deliberately destroy Mom's last words to you?" To us? I don't know what to think anymore. I'm on my feet too, the notebook clutched to my chest. You kept this from me for weeks. Because I was trying to make it right. I thought if I could finish the illustrations, make the book real, it wouldn't bring back what you destroyed. Gerald steps between us. Hey, maybe we should all take a breath. No. I cut him off, backing toward the door. I need to not be here right now. Skylar, wait. Reagan pleads, reaching for me. Please, just let me explain. But I'm already gone, running down the stairs, Mom's notebook still pressed against my heart like a shield. I can hear footsteps behind me, probably Gerald, but I don't stop. I make it to my car before the tears start, hot and angry and confused. The notebook falls open in my lap, and Mom's words blur before my eyes. You were always the keeper of our family's tales. Not anymore, Mom. Those tales are ashes now, and I don't know how to tell stories without them. My phone buzzes with a text from Reagan. I never meant to keep secrets. I just wanted to give you back what I took away. Please come back so we can talk. I start the car instead, watching in my rearview mirror as Gerald and Nicole emerge from the building. They stand there, watching me drive away, looking as lost as I feel. I find myself parked outside Daisy's house without consciously deciding to come here. She opens the door before I can even knock, as if she's been expecting me. Nicole called, she explains, pulling me into a hug that smells like cinnamon and home. Come in, honey. I just made tea. Daisy has been our surrogate mother since Mom died. She was Mom's best friend for 30 years, and now she's the closest thing we have to a parent. I almost burned Reagan's portfolio, I blurt out as she guides me to her kitchen table. I know. She sets a steaming mug in front of me. And I also know you didn't. But I wanted to. My hands wrap around the warm ceramic. What kind of person does that make me? It makes you human. Daisy sits across from me, her kind eyes studying my face. Your mother would understand that better than anyone. What do you mean? Did Reagan ever tell you why your mom started collecting those books in the first place? I shake my head. They belonged to her sister, Amanda, every single one of them. Mom didn't have a sister, I say automatically. Daisy's smile is sad. She did. Amanda died when your mom was 20. Car accident. Their parents had already passed, and Amanda's books were all your mom had left of her. My hands start shaking so badly that tea sloshes over the rim of my mug. Why didn't she ever tell us? Because Amanda's death nearly destroyed her. She spent years angry, bitter, pushing everyone away. Until one day, she decided to honor Amanda's memory instead of letting grief consume her. Daisy reaches across the table, covering my hand with hers. That's when she started writing stories in the margins, adding her own life to her sister's books, making them live again. And now they're gone too. I whisper. Yes, Daisy agrees. But look what's rising from those ashes. Reagan's art, your mother's stories, this children's book you two could create together. My phone buzzes again. Another text from Reagan. Found more of Mom's notes. There's a whole chapter about the time we turned the living room into a blanket fortress library. Remember that? Despite everything, I smile. I was 12, Reagan was 9, and we spent an entire rainy Saturday reading under blankets strung between chairs. Reagan's trying so hard, Daisy says gently. Maybe too hard in that clumsy way she's always had, but she's trying. She kept Mom's dedication secret, I argue, but my voice lacks conviction. Did she? Or was she trying to transform it into something beautiful first? Daisy stands, walking to her bookshelf. Your mother gave me something just before she died. I think it's time you had it. She returns with a small leather-bound journal. She asked me to give this to you both when the time was right. When you were ready to read it together. I open it with trembling fingers. The first page reads, To my beautiful girls. May you always find your way back to each other through stories, just like I found my way back to Amanda through her books. My vision blurs. I don't know how to fix this, Daisy. Don't you? She taps the journal. Your mother left you a map. Both of you. My phone buzzes one more time. Reagan again. I found Mom's old Polaroid camera in my closet. Remember how she used to document every blanket fortress we built? I have all the photos. Come back, please. We can look at them together. Daisy squeezes my shoulder. Sometimes the hardest stories to tell are the ones we need to hear most. I stand up, clutching Mom's journal. I need to go. I know. Daisy smiles. Tell Reagan I expect both of you for Sunday dinner. No excuses. The drive back to Reagan's apartment feels different this time. Instead of anger, I feel something else. A mix of hope and fear and possibility. I find Reagan sitting on her floor, surrounded by old Polaroids. She looks up when I enter, her eyes red but hopeful. You came back, she says softly. I hold up Mom's journal. Daisy had this. Mom wanted us to read it together. Reagan's eyes widen. Is that her story journal? The real one? I sit down beside her, picking up one of the Polaroids. Two little girls, gap-toothed and grinning, surrounded by books and blankets. Tell me about the chapter you're working on. The blanket fortress one. Really? When I nod, she reaches for her sketchbook. Well, I thought we could start with this scene here, where you're teaching me how to do different voices for each character. As she talks, her pencil moving across the page, I feel something shift inside me. Like a new story beginning to take shape. One written in both our voices this time. Read that part again, I say, pointing to a passage in Mom's journal. Reagan and I are sprawled on her living room floor, where we've been for hours, surrounded by sketches and memories. The girls never knew, Reagan reads, but watching them build their blanket fortresses reminded me so much of Amanda and me. Sky has her aunt's way of making stories come alive, while Reagan... She pauses, her voice catching. Go on, I encourage softly. While Reagan has her fierce creativity, just like I did at her age. Sometimes I watch them together and see myself and Amanda getting lost in our own little world of books and imagination. I can't believe she never told us about Amanda, I say, picking up one of Reagan's sketches. Two girls in a blanket fortress, one reading aloud while the other draws. Maybe it hurt too much. Reagan adds another detail to the sketch. Like how we barely talk about Mom. The truth of that statement hits hard. When did we stop talking about her? Probably around the time I started getting those gallery interviews and you got engaged to Gerald. Reagan sets down her pencil. It was easier to focus on the future than deal with the past. Until you burned it down, I say, but there's no heat in my words anymore. Yeah. Reagan meets my eyes. I really was trying to make space for my art supplies, you know. I thought if I could just get organized, finally make something of myself like you have. What are you talking about? I'm a middle school English teacher. Who's already department head at 28. Meanwhile, I'm still struggling to get my first gallery showing, living in a cramped studio, barely making rent. Is that what you think? I sit up straighter. Reagan, I've been jealous of your freedom for years. You're pursuing your dreams while I'm stuck following some safe, predictable path. Safe? Reagan laughs incredulously. You're changing kids' lives. Just last week you were telling me about that student who finally discovered reading through your creative writing class. That's different. No, it's not. You're doing exactly what Mom did, making stories come alive for people. Before I can respond, there's a knock at the door. It's Gerald and Nicole carrying takeout bags. We figured you two might be hungry, Nicole says, setting Chinese food containers on the coffee table. And we brought reinforcements, Gerald adds, pulling out a bottle of wine. As they set up dinner, Reagan shows them our progress on the children's book concept. Nicole gasps at the illustrations while Gerald reads passages from Mom's journal. Listen to this, he says. The girls don't realize it yet, but they're each other's best story, the one that keeps writing itself chapter after chapter. She really saw us clearly, didn't she? Reagan says quietly. Maybe more clearly than we saw ourselves, I admit. Nicole picks up one of the sketches. This is incredible, you two. Have you thought about actually publishing it? Reagan and I exchange looks. We've barely started, I begin. But you have all the pieces, Nicole interrupts. Mom's story notes, Reagan's illustrations, your teaching experience with children's literature. Plus, Gerald adds, I might know someone. My cousin works in children's publishing. I could make a call. Wait. I hold up my hand. Are we actually considering this? Reagan bites her lip. Would you want to? Work on it together, I mean. I look around at the scattered evidence of our shared history. Mom's journal, Reagan's art, old photos, half-eaten Chinese food. I think Mom would have loved it. That's not what I asked, Reagan says softly. Would you want to? Our eyes meet, and suddenly I'm remembering all those nights in our blanket fortresses, all the stories we created together before life and loss drove us apart. Yes, I say finally, but we do it right. We take our time. We honor her memory properly. And we talk about her, Reagan adds. No more avoiding the hard stuff. Deal. I reach for Mom's journal. Should we start with the chapter about the magical library cards? Reagan grabs her sketchbook, already smiling. Only if we include the part where you convinced me they could grant wishes if we shelved enough books. Oh God, I remember that. Nicole laughs. Didn't you end up reorganizing the entire school library? And got in trouble because we used our own system instead of Dewey Decimal. I grin. As Reagan starts sketching and I begin reading aloud from Mom's notes, I feel something settle into place. Like finding the right word in a sentence, or the perfect color in a painting. We're not okay yet, not completely, but we're writing a new chapter together. And somewhere, I think Mom is watching us build this new kind of fortress, one made of memories and hope instead of blankets and chairs. The publisher wants to see us next week, I announce, bursting into Reagan's apartment with my laptop. They love the concept. Reagan looks up from her drawing table, charcoal smudged across her cheek. Seriously? Already? Gerald's cousin showed them the preliminary sketches and Mom's story outline. They're calling it fresh and emotionally resonant. I set my laptop down, pulling up the email. They want to meet us both. Both of us? Reagan's voice carries a hint of anxiety. But you're the writer. And you're the artist. We're doing this together, remember? She nods, but I can see the tension in her shoulders. Walking over to her drawing table, I peek at what she's working on. It's the scene where the sisters discover their mother's magical bookmark. This is beautiful, I say, touching the corner of the page. You captured Mom's smile perfectly. Thanks, but... Reagan hesitates. I've been thinking about something. About that day with the books. My stomach tightens. What about it? I lied. She sets down her charcoal, finally meeting my eyes. The candle didn't just tip over. I was angry that day. Angry because I'd found Mom's notes about you being the keeper of stories. I felt left out, I guess. When I brought the candle up there, part of me was being careless on purpose. The silence that follows feels heavy enough to crush us both. Say something, Reagan whispers. I need air. I turn toward her small balcony, my hands shaking as I slide the door open. Reagan follows me out. I understand if you want to stop the project. Stop? I whirl around. You think that's what this is about? Isn't it? I just admitted I partially destroyed Mom's books on purpose. No, I say, surprising us both with my calm. You just finally told me the truth. Do you know how long I've been waiting for that? She blinks. What? I knew, Reagan. Maybe not consciously, but I knew it wasn't just an accident. That's why I wanted to burn your portfolio so badly. Because somewhere deep down, I recognized the intention behind what you did. Oh, God. She sinks into one of her balcony chairs. We're really messed up, aren't we? A laugh bubbles up from somewhere inside me. Slightly hysterical, but genuine. Yeah, we are. But you know what? So was Mom. What do you mean? I pull out Mom's journal from my bag. Listen to this entry. After Amanda died, I burned all her letters in a fit of rage. I thought it would help me let go, but it only made me hold on tighter. It took me years to understand that destroying memories doesn't erase the pain. It just creates new wounds. Reagan's eyes fill with tears. She never told us any of this. No, but she left us the story. And now, I gesture to her drawing table inside, visible through the glass door. Now we're turning it into something new. My phone rings. It's Gerald's cousin from the publishing house. Hello? I put it on speaker. Skylar? Is Reagan with you? I wanted to talk about moving up the meeting. We're really excited about this project, especially the parallel between your mother's story and the contemporary narrative you're creating. Reagan and I exchange looks. Actually, I say, we have a slightly different angle we'd like to pitch. It's about 3 generations of sisters and the stories that both break and heal them. I'm listening, the publisher says. It's about Mom and Amanda, too. Reagan adds quickly, about how some stories need to be burned before they can be reborn. There's a pause on the other end. Send me what you have. All of it. I want to see this new direction immediately. After we hang up, Reagan turns to me. Are we crazy? Changing everything this close to the meeting? Maybe. I pick up her charcoal, hand it to her. But I think this is the story Mom always wanted us to tell. We just needed to go through our own fire first to understand it. Reagan takes the charcoal, a small smile forming. Where should we start? With the truth, I say, opening Mom's journal to a fresh page. All of it. The ugly parts. The beautiful parts. The parts that hurt too much to look at directly. Like how I almost destroyed everything because I was jealous. And how I almost did the same thing right back. I squeeze her hand. But maybe that's the point. Maybe some stories need to be broken before they can be put back together. Reagan picks up her sketchbook, flips to a new page. Then let's break it right this time. Together. As she begins to draw and I start writing, I feel Mom's presence stronger than ever. Not in the ashes of her books, but in the new story taking shape between her daughters. Ready? Reagan asks, squeezing my hand as we stand outside the bookstore. Through the window, I can see the crowd gathering for our launch event. Familiar faces mixed with strangers, all waiting to hear our story. Almost. I pull out Mom's journal, now worn and paint-stained from countless hours of use. One last tradition? Reagan smiles, knowing exactly what I mean. We find a quiet corner by the store's entrance and sit cross-legged on the ground, just like we used to do in our blanket fortresses. Dear Mom, I begin, writing in the journal's final blank pages. Today we're sharing your story. All of it. The parts you told us, the parts you kept hidden, and the parts we had to discover on our own. Reagan takes the pen. We included Amanda too. She writes, your sister deserved to be part of this story, just like we finally learned to be part of each other's. Daisy appears around the corner, carrying what looks like an old cardboard box. Found something you girls might want to see before you go in. Inside the box are dozens of preserved book pages, slightly singed around the edges but intact. I salvaged what I could from the attic that day, Daisy explains. Been waiting for the right moment to show you. My hands shake as I lift out a page from Pride and Prejudice with Mom's familiar handwriting in the margins. You kept these all this time? Sometimes broken things need to be broken, Daisy says, echoing Mom's words from her journal. But that doesn't mean we can't save pieces of them. Reagan pulls out another page. It's from Little Women, with a sketch Mom had drawn of 2 girls reading. Look at the date, she whispers. This was right after Amanda died. She was always telling stories. Daisy smiles. Even when it hurt. Especially when it hurt. Nicole pokes her head out the bookstore door. They're ready for you two. Gerald's already doing damage control with the publisher. Apparently having the authors sitting on the sidewalk isn't standard protocol. We laugh, gathering our things. Before we head in, Reagan grabs my arm. Sky? Thank you for not burning my portfolio that day. Thank you for finally telling me the truth about the books. And thank you both, Daisy adds, for giving your mother's story the ending she always wanted, her girls finding their way back to each other. Inside, the crowd hushes as we take our places at the reading table. Our book, The Library of Lost Sisters, sits between us, its cover showing 3 pairs of sisters across 3 generations, surrounded by books and art and magic. Gerald gives us a thumbs up from the back as I open to the first page. Reagan's illustrations seem to come alive under the bookstore lights. Mom and Amanda as young girls, then Reagan and me, all of us connected by the stories we tell and the ones we keep. Once upon a time, I begin, my voice steady. There were 2 sisters who thought they knew everything about their mother's stories. But sometimes the best stories are hidden in the margins, waiting to be discovered. Reagan picks up the narrative, pointing to her illustrations as she goes. The crowd leans in, caught up in our tale of loss and redemption, of sisters and secrets, of destruction and creation. When we finish reading, a little girl raises her hand. "Did you really almost burn each other's stuff?" "We did," Reagan admits, "because sometimes when we're hurting, we want others to hurt too." "But then what happened?" I share a look with my sister. Then we remembered something our mom taught us, that every ending can be a beginning, if you're brave enough to write it that way. The signing line forms, and as we autograph copies, I notice Reagan adding tiny sketches alongside her signature, little blanket fortresses and magical books, each one unique. A woman reaches the table with tears in her eyes. "I lost my sister last year," she says. "This book, it's helping me remember her the right way. That's exactly what Mom would have wanted," Reagan tells her softly. As the event winds down, I find myself holding our book, running my fingers over the dedication page. For Mom, who taught us that the best stories never really end. They just keep being retold in new ways. And for Amanda, the aunt we never knew but whose spirit lived in every book on our mother's shelves. Your stories live on in us. Reagan joins me, resting her head on my shoulder. "Think they're proud of us?" "I know they are," Daisy says, appearing with the box of saved pages. "Now, what do you say we take these home and add them to your next story?" Looking at my sister, really looking at her, I see Mom's creativity and Amanda's passion for stories, all mixed together with Reagan's own fierce spirit. We may have lost some pieces of our past, but we've built something new from the ashes. Something that feels like both an ending and a beginning. "Yes," I say, taking Reagan's hand. "Let's write the next chapter together."